Welcome to Huntsville, Alabama, the Rocket City, where the locals have... Welcome to Huntsville, Alabama, the Rocket City, where the locals have witnessed one giant leap from Alabama A&M. A 3-win team a year ago, the Bulldogs look like they're on a mission to return to the SWAC championship. Meanwhile, for defending conference champ Texas Southern, 2011 has been a most trying space odyssey. The Tigers desperately need a win tonight to get their season off the ground. The countdown is over. Alabama A&M and Texas Southern are ready for liftoff. You are watching ESPNU's College Football Primetime presented by McDonald's. Tonight, we're at Louis Cruz Stadium on the campus of Alabama A&M as the Bulldogs host the defending SWAC champions, the Texas Southern Tigers. And looking at the SWAC standings, Alabama A&M in the East. They get Alabama State in their next game. That's the Magic City Classic. That could determine who comes out of the East. In the West, Texas Southern reeling. They have lost their last 2 straight games. Hello and welcome alongside former Howard quarterback and former NFL quarterback Jay Walker. I'm Anish Shroff, and Jay, for Texas Southern, this is a team. Those last 2 games, both losses, bad special teams play, sloppy all around. They've gotten behind, and by getting behind, that's taken them away from their bread and butter, their power running game. Yeah, they've got 2 of the best running backs in the SWAC conference. And if you're Texas Southern, the reason why they've been on such a roller coaster, as you mentioned before, falling behind. You fall behind, you take away the running game. They feature 2 of the best running backs in the SWAC conference in Marcus Wright and Martin Gilbert. For them to try and steady this ship, they need to pound the ball to them heavy and often tonight if they want to have a chance at coming in here in the Huntsville getting the upset. Meanwhile, for Alabama A&M, they started 0-2, but they've won 4 straight, and it's been their quarterback, Deontay Mason, the Kentucky transfer, who's really righted the ship of late. 7 touchdown passes in the last 2 games after just 1 in the first 4. And he's really worked on his ball management skills. They lost those first 2 games of the season. When they turned it around, it was squarely on the shoulders of Deontay Mason, controlling the football. In the 4 victories they've had, he's been phenomenal, throwing touchdowns, eliminating the interception. If they're going to continue to play well, which has been a turnaround season, Deontay Mason must continue his high-level play. Mason, second in the conference in total offense. Alabama A&M won the toss. They elected to defer, so it'll be Texas Southern that receives. Deshaun Daniels, the deep man for Texas Southern, as Alabama A&M. And we are ready for kickoff here in Huntsville. Daniels across the 20, and he's met at about the 22-yard line, and we get our first look at this Texas Southern offense led by the junior and quarterback Rico Smalls. We saw him a couple of weeks ago in person, you and I, Jay, did at Jackson State. He's a guy who can run the ball a little bit. The throwing game, that's still a work in progress. And he's a runner first and he's a thrower second. But when he runs the football, he's an offensive weapon. Very athletic, very difficult to bring down in the open field. And of course, he has the luxury of those 2 great tailbacks in Marcus Wright and Martin Gilbert. It'll be Gilbert who starts out in the backfield. And Gilbert on first down gets close to the 30-yard line, a gain of 6 yards on the play. Looking at the Texas Southern offense, Marcus Wright, the normal starter at running back. Joe Anderson, he's their go-to receiver. They use their tight end, Kirk Fitzhugh, quite a bit as well. And on that offensive line, Quinn Chris, the center, the only returning starter. This is Gilbert again, and he gets across the 30-yard line, tackled by Tim Tillman after a gain of 2 yards. Corey Hart is the one the coaches really like on that Alabama A&M front 4. He's a guy they say that has NFL potential. They run a 4-2-5, so only 2 linebackers. Willie Fuller, he's a guy that can bring it, leads the team in tackles, and 5 players back in the secondary led by Rico Porch, a 3-year starter. 3rd down and 2 for Texas Southern. On the ground once more, and it'll be good enough for a first down. Gilbert again on the call. You know, that's going to be the interesting matchup we're going to see here tonight, is the fact that Alabama A&M's defense traditionally has been one of the smallest defenses you'll see in the SWAC conference. And their defensive ends
only weigh 220 pounds. So you think you should be able to muscle them around and lean on them and run the football. But year in and year out, Alabama A&M leads the SWAC in rush defense. This year is no different. Teams are only averaging 97 yards per game against the Bulldog defense.
And Texas Southern, on the other hand, this is a team, they like the big packages. They'll use 2 tight ends, 3 guys on that O-line weighing more than 300 pounds. Smalls to throw for the first time. Completes. That's Richard Samuel across midfield and into Alabama A&M territory. A gain of 19 yards. Finally taken down by Clarence Morris.
And that's a good sign for Texas Southern. If you can get Rico Smalls making completions, that's great. Simple curl-flat combination. Goes to the curl right there in the soft spot of the defense. Picks up the first down. That's what you want as an offensive coordinator. Completions on pass plays on first down.
They'll go back to the ground game. This is Marcus Wright's first carry, and he doesn't get very far. Maybe got back to the line of scrimmage, second down. Corey Hart, the leader of Alabama A&M's front seven, the leader of their defense. This is what he had to say about playing on the stage. We think we're pretty good and we're ready to put it on TV. We're all excited. We don't want to look bad on TV. We want to be prepared and be ready for the show. As we said at the top, this is an A&M team. They only won 3 games last year. They have the look right now, 4 straight wins. They have a chance maybe to get to the SWAC title game. Smalls on play action, and that's the tight end, making the fullback, Michael Griggs. Tackled by Chris Irvin, and it's a gain of 5 yards, 3rd and 5.
You know, one of the things that you want to see, most squads that have head coaches that are former defensive coordinators like Texas Southern does and Kevin Ramsey, you know, they're going to pound that football, and then rarely do they use a traditional drop-back passing game. They want to really run the football hard, give you a heavy dose of play-action passes. Kevin Ramsey brings that same type of intensity he did as a D coordinator. While he's the head coach, he's still calling plays for their defense.
Smalls on 3rd down, and he misses the tight end, Kirk Fitzhugh. So now 4th down coming up. We'll see the punting unit. This has been a problem for Texas Southern. Jay, you and I saw this 2 weeks ago against Jackson State. All sorts of problems punting the ball. Francois Ejiofor couldn't get that one off. Low snap here. This kick gets blocked. Jackson State would run it in for a touchdown. And then another kick. Ejiofor, low snap again, and he just had to eat it, and that really hurt Texas Southern. And that was Alexis' playbook. Low snap. Ejiofor gets this one off, and a fair catch signaled for by Monterius Smith. So Alabama A&M starts at the 11-yard line, and no drama there on special teams for Texas Southern. We get our first look now at this Alabama A&M offense. There's head coach Anthony Jones in his 10th season. 2nd all-time in school history and career wins. He's taken this team to 4 SWAC title games. Won the SWAC championship back in 2006.
You know, one thing you get from Anthony Jones' coach team is discipline. He's a disciplinarian. The team stays focused. And I think when we talked to him about the play of his quarterback, he said in the first 2 games, he tried to do too much. Wasn't taking what the defense was giving him. Anytime you do that as a quarterback, you're going to lead yourself into trouble. He was able to right the ship in the middle of the season, which is hard to do.
Play action on 1st down. Mason as a receiver wide open. Monterius Smith, he's got it. Smith down the sideline, cuts back to the middle of the field, and he's taken down near the 15-yard line. Finally tackled by Stephen White.
You'll see the play action here, set it up. Everybody thinks you want to run the football, and Smith is just going to run right up the seam route. A good job by Mason of leading him away from the defense where the outside was wide open. Good job of protecting the football at the end of the run. Big play for the Bulldogs.
72 yards on the first offensive play for Alabama A&M. Monterius Smith, his longest catch of the season. Mason will keep it, now pitches it to Lacey. Kadarius Lacey inside the 10. Finally shoved out of bounds by Darvion Trahan. but not before a gain of 11, and it's 1st and goal, Alabama A&M.
And that's what you call option in its purest form. Option off the end man on the line of scrimmage. You get the defensive end to commit to you. You pitch the ball to the running back. Good job by Deontay Mason. He's coming out here in these first 2 plays looking like he's the leader that they talked about him being.
Looking at what Alabama A&M has done in the red zone this season, brought to you by Verizon. 22 drives, 12 touchdowns, 3 field goals. Lacey on 1st down, gobbled up in the backfield by Marquise Jackson, a loss of 4.
And we know about Marquise Jackson, a young man that had enough talent to get several Division I offers coming out of high school. And right here, this is just beat your man. You're going to see him right here in this small side here. Good swim move on the inside, catch the running back in the backfield, tackle for loss, defensive coordinator's dream.
He's a guy coaches say has D1 type ability, high football IQ, first team SWAC last year.
But he's got good size, that prototypical size.
6'5", 275.
That's how you like to build him.
On the ground on 2nd and goal, and it's Lacey barging forward. He lost the football, and it looks like Texas Southern has it covered. Ernest Gilly coming up with it, and a turnover as Alabama A&M. They had 2 plays, 82 yards to get inside the 20, but then 2 plays later, they turn it over.
They've got to protect that pill when you're down in the red zone. Things happen much quicker. He's got the ball. Once you see the contact coming, you've got to protect that ball with 2 hands. Good job of lowering the shoulder by Terrell Jones, the linebacker, coming in there, putting a helmet on the football. Good team defense to pull it out of there. Big turnover created by the Tigers.
Texas Southern, they boast that 212-degree defense. Coming up with a big play early in this one. Martin Gilbert on 1st down, and he falls backwards across the 15-yard line. Close to the 20, in fact, and that's a gain of 8 yards, so it'll bring up 2nd and 2.
A little run right there, but it shows you the athleticism that Martin Gilbert has. Did you notice when he ran through the hole, he jumped over a defensive lineman on the ground, kept his balance, kept his feet turning, picking up 8 yards. He's a special running back.
Smalls will throw. On the run, he's got Samuel again, and he's out of bounds at the 35-yard line. Gain of 16 on the play.
This is what you call a 3-level throw. You're going to have a clear-out wide receiver running the route to clear it out here. 2nd-level throw. This is the man that's going to catch the football with a fullback coming here underneath there. Your read is 1, 2, 3. Take a look. This is how you draw it up right there. Soft spot of the defense, 2nd-level throw. And they get that open. Pretty easy to complete that pass. Even you could hit that, Anish.
Easy. Smalls again to the air. Along the sideline, it's Samuel again who hangs out of the football despite taking a big hit from Derek Harris.
Well, all they did there was just do a Riverside, the same type of throw, but instead of the play action, just drop back and do it. This time throwing it from all the way from the right side of the field across the length of the field. You got to have a strong arm to be able to complete that pass. Ball hung in the air a little bit. And good job by the receiver holding on after the pop.
On the ground. And not much there. Gain of maybe a yard. That was Gilbert.
Good job by the Tiger offense, getting the ball backed up in their own 10-yard line, able to move the ball to midfield. They've already won the battle on this series of regaining field position at the very least.
Smalls in trouble, throws it incomplete. He wanted Fitzhugh, the tight end. 3rd down coming up. This Saturday on ESPNU at 3:30 Eastern, it's 12th ranked and undefeated Georgia Tech going to Charlottesville. That's the All-State ACC game of the week. And then at 7 Eastern, a banged-up Taj Boyd and Sammy Watkins take on Maryland. Clemson, number 8 in the country. They're unbeaten as well. Taj Boyd, though, big injury he suffered, had to be carted off the field in last week's win against Boston College. 3rd down and 9. We told you about their issues punting. So big 3rd down here. All 3rd downs are big for Texas Southern. Smalls off his back foot, throws it up, and over the head of his intended receiver, Artie Collins, but there's a flag on the play. Trennis Livingston is the head referee.
Ineligible player downfield on the offense. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
All right, so 4th down, Jay, and again, we mentioned the punting issues against Jackson State 2 weeks ago. Had a punt blocked, a couple of miffed punts. Last week against Alabama State, they had a snap go over the punter's head, a couple more miscues on special teams. That has really hampered this Texas Southern team the last couple of weeks.
And when we talked about it, I said normally you don't go after the first punt. You figure out what they're doing, then you go after the second punt.
Here they come. Montaria Smith signals for a fair catch, lost it. And did he fall on it, or did Texas Southern fall on it? The Tigers have it again. 2nd turnover of the game for Alabama A&M, and it's Kadarian Wilkins who recovered it.
The football was muffed, recovered by the kicking team. 1st and 10, Texas Southern.
So Texas Southern, now they've forced 2 turnovers. That one really, that's on Montaria Smith. That's on the return man. That's the risk of sending everybody.
Yes, you go after the block, and you as the return man, your job is just to catch it. Don't try and run it. Field it cleanly. They couldn't get the job done.
Here's Gilbert out of the eye, and he gets across the 25-yard line, a pickup of a yard, 2nd and 9.
This is the part of the field where Bronski Towns, the longtime defensive coordinator for Alabama A&M, he likes to bring pressure. So look for them on.
Thought he likes to bring pressure all the time.
All over the field, but he's been a little bit more conservative with the running game that Texas Southern presents. But team gets you backed up, you go back to what you feel comfortable. Look how many guys are around the line of scrimmage. Really
Gilbert again. Well, he ran into a few Maroon shirts. A loss of 2. It'll bring up 3rd and long. Markeith Clyott bringing the heat.
Going back to that punt there, your job is just to field the ball cleanly, take a knee. It gets in front of him. He tries to catch it with his hands. Good job by the Tigers of swarming around the football, pulling it out of there to give their offense great field position. Count the number of burgundy jerseys you see around the football line of scrimmage. All 11 within 5 yards.
A run on 3rd and 11. This is right, and he has some room. And he appears to be close to a 1st down. He might have it.
Good job by Wright and the right guard, number 54, Moses Alvarez, getting upfield, getting in the way, being the lead blocker. And Wright knew where the hole was. You see him grabbing that jersey there saying, come on, let's go. Good job of running there. Good job by the pulling guard there, Moses Alvarez.
They mark Wright down just shy of the 1st down marker. So it'll be 4th down. Texas Southern, they've only attempted 1 field goal on the year, so this is no surprise. Going forward on 4th and short. Right again, and he's got the 1st down. Looks like he had it.
He left his feet a little bit early. He was probably 2 yards deep when he went airborne. It's going to really come down to that spot.
Now the initial surge, I thought he got ahead of where he needed to be. They're going to measure. Yeah, this is going to be close. He's short. All right. I thought he had it on that initial surge, but just shy. So Texas Southern not able to capitalize on that turnover, and it's a turnover on downs for the Tigers. Alabama A&M back on offense when we come back. U College Football Primetime is presented by McDonald's. I'm loving it. Alabama A&M has survived a couple of early turnovers. We're still scoreless in Huntsville. 5:41 to go. Hey, what's on tap? Hall of Famer John Stallworth, an Alabama A&M alum, will visit us in the booth. We'll talk to him. He actually did start his career at A&M at wide receiver. Texas Southern getting a new home that they'll share with the Houston Dynamo of the MLS. We'll tell you all about that. And then Jay and I had a chance to go to space camp yesterday. Jay's a former NFL quarterback. You may think differently about him after you see some of the footage.
Easy, Schroff. Come on, man. Nicknames like Sky. I got a rep to protect.
Brother, after they see that, they're going to be calling Skywalker Groundwalker. Kadarius Lacey on first down, and he's to about the 18-yard line, met by Tyler Crane, gain of 2, second down.
Now you got to think about this if you're Alabama A&M. You've really dodged 2 bullets.
Yep.
You know, the 2 turnovers, one in your own red zone. The other one, you gave them the ball on the 20-yard line, and you see right there, Alabama's only had, Alabama A&M really messed up that first drive, moved the ball down the field, walked away with nothing. Texas Southern gets the ball on the 20-yard line, comes up short with no points on the board. One of these teams has to stop making mistakes and take advantage of this football game.
Trips right here on 2nd and 8. And out of the backfield, it's incomplete. They wanted David Isabel, who came into the game. Isabel's their quarterback, but they like to get him on the field in certain packages. Kadarius Lacey, he's the one who drives the bus offensively. One of the top running backs in the SWAC. Gialonzo Milton's their go-to wide receiver, and this is an offensive line with no senior starters, very young, but it's a unit that's gotten a lot better as the season's progressed.
And that's why they've been able to get this winning streak going. They've gelled as a unit. No other position on the field do you have to have team chemistry than you do in the offensive line in the trenches. You've got a bunch of freshmen playing. It's going to take them at least 3 or 4 games to mature. Now they're gelling as a unit.
They got to get the playoff. Play clock down to 2. Alabama A&M well aware, and they will use their first time out of the half here with 4:58 to go in the first quarter. And as A&M calls a timeout, we'll step aside as well. Scoreless in Huntsville here in the first quarter.
Hey, Stacy.
Odds of 4 of you being named Stacy, 1 in 6 million. Odds of Stacy winning a prize, 1 in 4.
$1 million.
Monopoly at McDonald's is good.
Alabama A&M going for its 5th straight win. We're scoreless here in the first quarter. Meanwhile, Texas Southern, they're from Houston, and they'll move into a new home next year. Dynamo Stadium, they'll share it with the Houston Dynamo of the MLS, 22,000 seat capacity. It'll open next year. And Jay, you know who one of the co-owners of the Houston Dynamo is?
I have no idea.
Oscar De La Hoya.
Really?
Yeah, the
Golden
Golden
Boy. Okay.
So it's soccer and football, or in some parts, football and football.
And had the opportunity to talk to athletic director Charles McClellan before the game. They're opening up that stadium for Texas Southern September 5th versus Jackson State. It'll be a good one.
On 3rd down, Mason Smith can't hold in with one hand, and it'll bring up 4th down. So Alabama A&M forced to kick.
Wow, that's one you got to have back, because had he caught that ball, he had plenty of room to run. They brought the pressure, didn't get to the quarterback. Nobody in front of Smith. That's one as a quarterback, you got to put a little bit closer on the body so the receiver doesn't have to extend so much.
Chance Wilson on to kick it away, averaging almost 42 yards a punt for the season. He handles both the punting and place kicking duties. High snap. Line drive kick. Samuel in the 33. Across the 45. He's got midfield, and Richard Samuel takes it down past the 40-yard line. Texas Southern for the 2nd consecutive drive. Good starting field position. We'll see if they can capitalize. Tiger ball when we return. We're back here in Huntsville with Jay Walker and Ish Schroff. Scoreless first quarter. Alabama A&M and Texas Southern. Texas Southern just got a nice return on a punt, but that's going to be brought back because of a penalty. Let's take a look.
Yeah, take a look on the right side of your screen. Number 33 in white is going to go up and hit number 48 in burgundy. Questionable call, but more importantly, how often do we see blocks in the backs on punt return when the play is going away from the return?
Had nothing to do with the return.
Nothing to do with the play at all. You just got to ease off.
So Texas Southern, instead of starting in Alabama A&M territory, will start in their own zone near the 35-yard line. Play action. Smalls on the run, incomplete. They wanted Griggs, the fullback.
You know, that's the difference there of a good passer and one that's not as comfortable passing. You got a play action pass with the rollout to your left. He never could get his shoulder square. Watch after the play action pass. The fullback is open right away. Go in there, try to get that shoulder. See, if you make that quick turn, you can get the ball to him. Corey Hart was applying the pressure, but that's a ball there. That should be an easy completion if you do it over and over again through repetition. But we talked about the struggles that Smalls have had throwing the football, and that's a clear example right there.
4 for 8 to start the night, but under 50% on the season. Smalls again under pressure. Throws on the run. Samuel makes the catch in bounds, and he's got a first down.
Great job by Richard Samuel, not only climbing the ladder, but making sure he's able to get his feet down in bounds. You see Smalls elude the pressure, buy some more time. See Samuel's downfield, and Samuel's going to climb the ladder and stick that left foot in clearly. He got 2 feet in. That was NFL style.
4th catch of the game already for Samuel. We're still in the first quarter. On the ground. That's Gilbert. And he gets across the 35. Client made the tackle.
Starting to see Texas Southern have the ability to run the ball in between the guard, not in between the tackles. That's where the strength of the A&M defense is. But in the center of that defense, Quinn Chris and Alvarita, as we talked about earlier, and Donovan Stevens are doing a good job of winning that battle at the line of scrimmage, opening up holes for the running game.
Gilbert again. Gets the edge. First down and more. Gilbert still on his feet before being bumped out of bounds after a pickup of 14 yards. It was Rico Porch who finally got him.
And this is what they call the good stretch play. Get outside, trying to find a crease, and then get vertical. First chance you get, and you see Gilbert do a good job of turning on the Jets once he saw the hole. I know that we normally say, Houston, you have a problem. Well, this is Huntsville, you know, Rocket City.
Yeah.
Huntsville, you've got a problem right now controlling that running game for Texas Southern.
44 yards rushing for Gilbert. That's Marcus Wright back in the game. And Wright drags a tackler with him to the 16-yard line. Willie Fuller got him by the legs, but a gain of 4, 2nd and 6.
We talk about controlling the line of scrimmage. All they're going to do is pull number 54 right here. You're going to see the running back do a good job of staying on his hip, finding the running lane here. They're pulling all their stunts, everything they've got going right now in the run game, controlling the line of scrimmage.
Wright and Gilbert 1 and 2 in the SWAC in rush yards per game. Wright again, right up the middle. Finally taken down by a swarm of maroon jerseys, but not before 3 more yards, and it'll bring up 3rd down and 3. Now, Texas Southern this season, they've treated these situations almost like 2-down territory. William Ortiz, their sophomore kicker, has attempted just 1 kick on the season. Wright has a hole, and he's into the end zone. Touchdown, Texas Southern. 13-yard TD run by Marcus Wright, and it's 6-0 Tigers.
Good job by Wright, following the lead blockers and getting the opportunity to go vertical. That's the type of score you need to have. If you're a road trip, if you're the visiting team, so often getting that first score before the home team really can take you a long way in the football contest. Good job by the kids from Texas.
Ortiz on for the point after, and it's good. Texas Southern up 7-0. 7 plays, 63 yards, and 2 minutes and 27 seconds.
You know, right here, this is just a zone read out there. You're looking for a hole, then go vertical right away. Make one swim move, turn on the jets, get north-south. Good vision, good patience. Looking, there it is. Goes there, gets into the end zone. That's how you draw it up.
4th rushing touchdown of the season for Marcus Wright. And this is big for confidence. Texas Southern, they've lost 2 in a row. We saw what happened in that Jackson State game a couple weeks ago. Scoreless game going into the 2nd quarter. They absolutely got blitzed in that quarter, out of the game by halftime. Last week against Alabama State, they were in it, and then third quarter, fourth quarter, it started to get away. So having a lead, playing from in front, that's the strength of this Texas Southern team.
Yes, and when we saw the standings to open up the game tonight, we saw where they stood. 3 losses in conference. They know you are not going to have any chance at winning the Western Division crown with 4 losses. So I think for Coach Ramsey, it's fairly simple. It's all or nothing. And it's going to be like that for every game for the rest of the season. They are the defending SWAC champs. They've got that pride about themselves. And they realize we've lost 3 games in conference play. We can't afford to lose another one, regardless of where we play it. And they've come here to play tonight.
They've got 5 conference games left, including tonight. Probably have to win all 5 of them to have a chance to get back to that SWAC championship. This is the dangerous Terrence Pride. And a nice return. And good starting field position for Alabama A&M. Don't forget, it's the topics in college football. You see who's on the panel this week. And I'm not an expert. I'm just moderating.
Yeah, how'd you sneak in there, Niece? Come on now. That shows a lot of fun, though. Had a chance
you
to do
were on it with us this week.
Tuesday. I felt like I was in the barbershop just talking ball.
Yeah.
You know, I got everything except the fade haircut I needed to go to tighten you up. That's what you ought to do. Carry some clippers with you when you're in the studio.
Well, I don't get a chair. You guys get the chair. I don't get a chair. 1st and 10, Alabama A&M from the 47. Play action. Mason just has to get rid of it. That was dangerous. Marquise Jackson had his arms draped all over the A&M quarterback.
Yeah, with the pressure coming, you know, Marquise Jackson, we talked about the talent that he has. He's going to just basically beat his man off the break right away, get into the backfield, and before you know it, he can just disrupt the play. And that's a really good job by Mason of just getting rid of that football, not taking the sack on 1st down.
4 receivers in the game here on 2nd down. Mason throwing. Montarius Smith. Did he hold on to it? No. Incomplete. 3rd down coming up.
But that's a very dangerous throw. Throwing that out route to a covered receiver out there all the way across the field. One of the reasons why the throw wasn't there, pressure on the quarterback.
Mason completed his first pass of the game, a 71-yard strike to Montarius Smith, the intended receiver on that last play, but 0 for 4 since. Quick throw, and it's over the head of Gialonzo Milton. So 3 and out go Alabama A&M, and the punting unit will come on. And Milton is down on the play.
And that's one, if you're Alabama A&M, you cannot afford to have Gialonzo Milton go down. 6 touchdowns on the season. He's their go-to wide receiver in the red zone. Miscommunication between the quarterback and his wide receiver. He's running a hitch. He's throwing the ball high. He's standing there in that defenseless position. And Kadarian Wilkins comes up not knowing if he was going to come down with the ball, making the tackle. And could be bad news for the Bulldogs.
Milton still down on the field. He's the guy you mentioned, the 6 touchdown catches. He has 17 receptions on the season. 6 of them touchdowns. That's more than a third. And when you look at the quarterback's numbers, Deontay Mason only has 8 touchdown passes. So 6 of them have gone to Gialonzo Milton. So he's not only the favorite target, he is the target in the red zone.
Yeah, when you've got a quarterback with a 49% completion percentage, you got to make your opportunities count. And Gialonzo Milton's done a good job of, when he gets his number called, making it count for the touchdown.
And the other thing to remember, Milton is sort of the elder statesman on what's a very, very young receiving core. He's a junior, but you look at the other receivers they use. Montarius Smith, redshirt freshman. Rashad DeJohnette, freshman. Terrence Pride, redshirt freshman. DeMario Ross, a sophomore. They have Torrey Smith, who's a junior, but the primary receivers outside of Milton are freshmen.
Yeah, very young team, and I think that's, you know, the story of this Alabama A&M football team this season has been the youthfulness has grown up a little bit sooner. So they've got no senior starters on the offensive line. They start plenty of redshirt freshmen there, and then you talk about the young receiving core. But in spite of their youth, winners of 4 straight games, they're 4-2 with an opportunity to compete for a SWAC crown if they can get this victory tonight.
Yeah, their head coach told us the turning point really was the Arkansas Pine Bluff game a couple of weeks ago. They were down 27-7 in the fourth quarter, rallied for a win. And Gialonzo Milton does get up on his own power, able to walk off the field with 1:45 to go here in the first quarter. And you hope it's not serious for the Bulldogs. Fourth down coming up. Wilson on to punt. Richard Samuel waiting at his own 11-yard line for Texas Southern. High snap. Wilson brings it down, gets it off. It bounces out of bounds at around the 16-yard line. And that's where they'll mark it. So Texas Southern will start from its own 16. Our Twitter question, boy, this is a good one, because there's a lot of good ones. Not just the SWAC. This is the SWAC and the MEAC. This is the top 3 bands in black college football. Who do you think they are? You can tweet your answers at ESPNU. This should generate some discussion and probably some trash talking too.
And we want them in order. You know, if you think number 1 is Florida A&M, say it. If you think number 1 is Alabama A&M, say it. Don't just give us 3 names. That's taking the easy way out.
That's Martin Gilbert. He's got 2 names, and he's free. Gilbert along the near sideline. Inside the 20. Down to the 10 and into the end zone for a touchdown. 84 yards, and Texas Southern has got a 13-0 lead.
As good as advertised. We talked about 2 of the best running backs in the SWAC. That we've seen Gilbert run between the tackles. When you get him on the perimeter, he shows you what that Texas foot speed is all about. Becomes a foot race between he and the defensive back. And Gilbert showing the ability to take it all the way to the house.
Gilbert, 11 carries, 132 yards already in the game. There's still a minute 20 left in the first quarter. There's a penalty flag on the extra point.
Offsides on the defense, on the kick. That penalty is declined. The score is good.
At the point after stands 14-0 Texas Southern, and the Tigers as a team 156 first half rushing yards, first quarter rushing yards, really able to establish that ground game that we talked about off the top.
And they knew they were going to have to run the football, and I think they had 13 hours to prepare for it too. You know, 13-hour bus ride for Texas Southern to come here to Huntsville, Alabama. You worry about your team being ready, but I like the coach's mindset. Hey, we'll play them anywhere. We've got to win football games. He helped them do some extra stretching. I just think they built up all that anxiety when they were on the road that they came here tonight to do business.
13-hour bus ride. You could lose some players to injury just to and from Houston and Huntsville. A strained neck, you sleep the wrong way.
They're showing some toughness, though. I mean, the kids from Texas, they call them Texas tough, and I guess they meant it when they said we'll play them anywhere.
Montarius Smith across the 25. He's got some room. There is a flag on the play as Smith is pushed out of bounds in Texas Southern territory, but again, a penalty marker is on the field.
Oh, this is one here where it's that little extra effort that's going to get you in trouble. You know, you're playing special teams.
Holding on the return team. Spot foul, 10 yards, 1st and 10.
So that's coming back as well. And
yeah, they're going to call it. They're going to call it on Addison Walker here. And he's got his guy down on the ground. You see it happens right here on the ground, and the guy's trying to get up. He keeps pushing him down. Now, you're taught to keep on doing that. Push him down. If you've got him down, lay on him. Keep pushing him. You saw the flag come in, and they called him for the hold. That's one there where you like the effort. You got a guy on the ground. You're just not going to let him stand up and hit your return, man. They called him for holding.
So Alabama A&M, they'll be backed up to the 36-yard line. That's where they'll start. They've committed 2 turnovers in this first quarter, but Texas Southern didn't score any points off of those. Texas Southern getting a couple of rushing touchdowns from two of its backs, Wright and Gilbert. There's Lacey. And he picks up 3 on first down. Tyler Crane on the stop.
I think this is that point in the game where it's gut check time right now for the home team, the Bulldogs. The crowd is quiet. They're out of it. Texas Southern's come here taking all momentum away from you. You got to put some points on the board.
Anthony Jones saw his offense generate some early 72 yards in the first play of the game, but that's pretty much been it. Lacey again, and he pushes the pile, gets to the 45-yard line, a pickup of 5. LeGrone Shields with the tackle. And that could be the last play of the first quarter. Texas Southern certainly made the statement it wanted to. Losers of 2 straight. A couple of big rushing scores. 231 yards of total offense by the Tigers, Jay.
Wow, that's a great job. That's making a statement, and they got most of it done on the ground.
We have played one here in Huntsville. Texas Southern leading Alabama A&M 14-0. Hall of Famer John Stallworth will join us when we come back. He used to play for A&M. One of Alabama A&M's most decorated alums, John Stallworth. He played for the Bulldogs from 1970 to 1973, elected into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2002, won 4 Super Bowls with those great Pittsburgh Steelers teams, and we're honored to have him join us in the booth. It's been a long time since you played at Alabama A&M. A lot has changed since then.
A lot has changed. They built a lot of new buildings. They got more students than they've ever had, and proud of this university.
Was that a typo that I saw in the graphics? Now, come on, you did not play defensive back when here at Alabama A&M.
One play.
One play, okay.
One play.
Because you know what they say, a defensive back is a wide receiver that can't catch. You proved them wrong.
Well, that one play, it was a long play. It was a post pattern for about 40 yards. They took me off defense and never put me back.
Well, they moved you to tight end. And from what we've heard, you were happy to get off of defense.
Very happy. Very happy. I was more accustomed to being on that side of the ball. Felt like I could catch the ball and do some things, and we proved that over the years.
At your alma mater, Alabama A&M with the ball here to start the second quarter, facing a 3rd and 1. What'd you make of the first quarter?
Well, it was all Texas Southern, wasn't it? Running the football. They came in with a lot of credentials running the football, and they proved that.
They get the first down.
A&M fought back in a game earlier this year, and we hope they can do that here.
There's John Stallworth's career again. It all started at Alabama A&M, and as we just talked about, started as a defensive back, moved to tight end. Of course, a great receiver with the Steelers. 4 Super Bowls, 24.4 yards per catch in the Super Bowl. That's an NFL record that still stands. 4-time Pro Bowl selection. And then what was it like getting the call? I mean, you had to wait almost 15 years, but when you got that call to the Hall of Fame, what was that like?
Very exciting. We had made the finalist list for about 4 or 5 years in a row. Felt we were going to eventually get there, but wasn't going to get too excited about it until I actually did that. So my wife and I took turns screaming when we got the word.
13 yards and a first down for Kadarius Lacey, so a new set of downs for Alabama A&M. And you give back to your alma mater. Tell us a little bit about the John Stallworth Scholarship here in Huntsville.
When we established a foundation a few years ago, we have a major fundraiser every year to fund that, and we have about 10 students on the scholarship right now here at the university, and very proud of that. Some students that are very deserving of an opportunity to go to school, and we're happy, more than happy to give them an opportunity to do that.
1st and 10, Alabama A&M. John Stallworth is the voice you hear, former Steeler great, former Alabama A&M Bulldog, joining us here in the booth in Huntsville. As Lacey pushes forward close to the 30-yard line, gain of 5 yards.
Well, Lacey's a good running back himself, and he comes in with credentials also. I hope we can get him started, keep the defense off the field a little bit, and rest him up, and maybe we can do a little bit better defensively against these guys.
Remind you of any like Franco Harris or Rocky Bleier, or not going that far?
Not yet.
What was it like for you, you know, playing in the National Football League, carrying that mantra of being a representative from a historically black college, playing in the NFL at such a high level?
I think you go in with a little bit more motivation. You realize the guys from bigger schools came in with a lot more reputation behind them, and you wanted to prove that you were good enough. My rookie year, we had a first-round draft choice out of USC, a pretty good receiver himself, but I wanted to prove I was as good as him.
John, that was for you. Monterius Smith doing his John Stallworth impression, 25 yards.
We talked about getting those shoulders around, squaring up, and making an accurate throw here, rolling top to your left side. Wide receiver does a great job. What does he do there, John? What do you tell a wide receiver doing that ball's hanging in the air?
Jump forward, get at his highest point, and come down with it.
You were great at that, and you played with a guy who's pretty good at that with the Steelers, and Lynn Swann.
Lynn Swann, great receiver, great friend. Doing well now in Pittsburgh, and hope to see him soon.
Jay asked you about what it was like to be a representative of black college football in the NFL, as there's an option play to Lacey, and he's pushed out of bounds just shy of the goal line. Is that a fraternity? Guys who played black college football, it might be from different schools, but that got to the NFL. I know Jay played at Howard, played in the NFL, but you think of Monty Coleman, Doug Williams, guys now coaching in the SWAC. Is that a fraternity?
I think so. There's a common background there. If I look back on my years with Pittsburgh, we had several guys that came out of black colleges. L. Street Greenwood came out of a black college. Ernie Holmes came out of a black college. Mel Blunt in the Hall of Fame came out of a black college. So we had a number of guys coming from black colleges to Pittsburgh. And, yeah, that was a commonality between us, something that we knew that we had to prove, and we bonded together to make sure we could do that.
Lacey on 2nd and goal, lost a couple of yards. It'll bring up 3rd and goal.
How closely do you follow the black and gold now?
Actually, a few years ago, we were very fortunate to actually become a part owner in Pittsburgh. And so we follow them very closely. We go back maybe 4 or 5 times a year. Had not been back this year yet, but we follow them pretty closely.
So you're invested on a couple of fronts, financially and then also as a fan and a former Steeler.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
I would say you deserve it. I mean, you leave your body on the field for that many years, as long as you did. I think that's a good investment that they invested in you.
When there's little pieces of me all over the National Football League somewhere.
We all remember that great Sports Illustrated cover for sure. On 3rd and goal, touchdown. There's
came out.
Gialonzo Milton, who could not hold on. Looked like he had it.
That's one there where you've got to come down with that catch. You're the go-to wide receiver. You only get so many opportunities for touchdowns.
Down in the red zone is very important. You got to watch the ball in, get rid of all the distractions that happen down there, and catch the football.
The kicking unit is on. And, John, before we have to let you leave, what's your favorite Alabama A&M memory?
Oh, gosh, so many. One year we played Fisk University, and I caught 11 passes for 273 yards, and a big game for us. And, guys, we lost the football game.
Wow. Chance Wilson's field goal try is good, so John Stallworth bringing a little bit of good luck to Alabama A&M. He joins us in the booth. Alabama A&M gets its first points of the game. John, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
You ready for this?
14-3, Texas Southern on top of Alabama A&M. The Bulldogs just getting their first points on a 22-yard Chance Wilson field goal. Saturday morning's ESPNU lineup at 9 a.m. Eastern. Join Aaron Andrews and David Pollack for College Game Day built by the Home Depot. Then at 10 a.m. Eastern, a special college football version of Sports Nation. At 11, it's The Whip, the show that gets the latest from all the game sites just prior to kickoff. And we have a terrific slate of games for you this coming Saturday. Pittsburgh and Utah. That's a noon game. Ray Graham of Pittsburgh's second leading rusher in the nation. A couple of unbeatens. Georgia Tech, they play Virginia at 3:30. And then Clemson, also undefeated. They go to Maryland at 7 Eastern. And then at 10:30 Eastern, for all you SWAC fans, Prairie View and Alabama State. That could potentially be a preview, maybe, of the SWAC championship.
Prairie View A&M, the #1 team in the western side of the SWAC conference, and you've got Alabama State, #1 on the east side. Alabama State undefeated in 2011 SWAC conference play.
Deshaun Daniels from the 12. Has some room across the 40, and he's close to the 45-yard line. A flag comes in at the end of the play. Looks like it's going to be a face mask.
Personal foul on the kicking team. face smash. 15 yards from the end of the run, 1st and 10.
So Tech 15 yards onto the end of that return, and Texas Southern with a chance to make better even on that 14-3 lead. Looking at the SWAC standings, Jay, you talked about it a minute ago. Prairie View A&M and Alabama State, they're the two front runners in the two divisions.
Yeah, and that's the job. I think everybody's surprised at Alabama State. Knew they were good, made it to the SWAC championship game a year ago, off to a great 5-0 start. But down here in this part of the country, you judge that Alabama State team by one game. It's shaping up to be a big one. The Magic City Classic, October 28th in Birmingham, Alabama. And if both those teams are in contention with a lot riding on the line, it's going to be an unbelievable environment for black college football.
Texas Southern, you see what they've done on the ground, dominating the ground game. And yeah, Alabama A&M, Alabama State, Magic City Classic. Bulldogs are going to have some time to prepare for that game. They have a bye, and this is a Thursday game. Then they have a bye next Saturday, and it's the following Saturday after that when they'll play. Smalls rolling out. There's a flag. And he is hit hard out of bounds at the 30-yard line by Markeith Clyott. But there is a penalty marker back at the 44. And it's coming back.
Holding on the offense, number 70. 10-yard penalty, replay, 2nd down.
That's Donovan Stevenson, the senior out of Largo, Maryland.
So they've got a good little grab. It's right there. You see the hold taking place there. They're going to call that all the time when they see that. But watch at the end of this one. Marcus Wright come back here and whop on the left side of your screen. See, running backs love it when they get to deliver a blow because they get hit so often. Marcus Wright gets a chance to hit Vernon Marshall, the linebacker / strong safety for this Bulldog defense. He lowered that shoulder on him.
So it's now 2nd and 16 from the 45. Empty backfield. Smalls going deep for Samuel. And did he bring it in? They say it is a catch and a 1st down. Richard Samuel having himself a fine game. That's his 5th catch of the game.
Great job of extending, laying out, leaving it all there, making the grab, pulling it in the body. Oh. Ooh. That's a catch. He got away with one here. They're going to give him that catch. He was able to do a good enough job in acting to make it appear as if he came back with the grab. Fumble.
Smalls lost it on 1st and goal. Alabama A&M has it, and Texas Southern with a costly red zone turnover. It was Corey Hart, the beast on that D-line, who comes away with a fumble recovery.
It seemed like there was never a clean exchange between the quarterback and the running back, Marcus Wright. You know, as a quarterback, you always say, if I don't put that ball in your belly, it's my fault. It looks like Smalls didn't do a good job of sticking that ball in the belly of the running back.
So both teams have had red zone turnovers in this game. Alabama A&M on their first possession, and now Texas Southern up 11, and a chance to add on to that. Turns it over in the red zone as well. Play action on 1st down. Mason in trouble, eludes the pursuit, throws on the run, and it's nearly intercepted. Darvion Trahan almost had it.
Wow, you talk about getting away with one. Deontay Mason pressured out of the pocket by Marquise Jackson. And then at the end of the run, you see a good job of getting away from the initial pressure. And watch him do this rule, thrown against your body. 3 white jerseys there. That should have been a pick easily. Got away with one there, youngster.
Mason just 2 of 9 in this game. Here's Lacey. Nice blocking up front. Lacey gets across the 20-yard line, 7 yards. It'll bring up 3rd and 3.
Good job of running. This is where if the quarterback's having some accuracy issues, as we've seen Mason do tonight, you really need that running game to really step up. And offensive coordinator Cedric Pearl for Alabama A&M, he's one of those guys that's got some really unique running styles, able to pound out some yardage. 3rd and 3, don't be surprised to see them lean on the offensive line, maybe with some type of screen pass, rather than just solely relying on the arm of the quarterback.
Four receivers here on 3rd down. Mason's pass juggled, incomplete, but a flag on the play. Kadarian Wilkins was all over Alonzo Milton.
Defensive pass interference. Number 5, spot foul, automatic, 1st and 10.
They're going to run the quick slant there. He's going to break on the ball just a little bit too soon with that rub. Official saw it there on the sideline and actually just did a good job of wrestling that ball away from Milton.
Now the official said spot foul. Shouldn't that be a 15-yard penalty?
Yeah. Last time I checked the rule book, that's what it was.
We've got Rogers Redding in the building. He's the head of officiating for the NCAA. Mason keeps it. Had everybody fooled. And he gets to the 35-yard line. It's 12 yards and a 1st down.
Good job by the Kentucky transfer, Deontay Mason, of calling his own number, improvising, making the first man miss on the line of scrimmage, and picking up another 1st down for the Bulldogs. It was a run similar to that they said really started the 4-game winning streak. 4th down run, they had to have it. He made 2 or 3 defenders miss, got the 1st down to keep a drive alive, and ever since then, they've just been winning.
Mason pumps, throws long, got a receiver wide open. It's Milton, and it's another 1st down, 23-yard pickup.
Good job on the double move, but you got to be disappointed that's not a touchdown all day long. You see Milton at the top, the hitch and go, catch the defensive back peeking in the backfield. If you can hit him in stride, that's a touchdown. Nowhere anybody would have caught up to him in the secondary. Missed opportunity for a touchdown throw, having to settle for just a 1st down completion.
Remember, Milton was hurt earlier in the game, stayed down after a play. He's back in. Lacey. And Kadarius Lacey running strong to the 30-yard line. He's got 10 yards and what appears to be another Alabama A&M 1st down.
And that's the one there you got to think as this drive goes on, if they end up not scoring a touchdown and settling for a field goal opportunity, they'll be thinking back to that hitch and go. You don't draw it up any better than that, and they converted, but they didn't get the big play that they had the opportunity for.
Terrell Beatty in the backfield to spell Lacey. Mason throws. He wants to Mario Ross, and Ross holds it in. 1st and goal, Alabama A&M.
It's one of the matchups they like. They've got Trey Walker, number 27, the freshman, going against another freshman there, and you see good job getting that ball on the outside shoulder. That's a good throw, probably the best ball we've seen Mason throw all night to give the Bulldogs excellent field position inside the 5-yard line.
1st and goal from the 3. Lacey back in at running back. They'll give it to the fullback, Brian Nelson, and Alabama A&M has its 1st touchdown of the game.
Bulldogs showing the ability to capitalize off of the Texas Southern turnover. What do you want to do? A good team's going to make you pay if you turn the ball over. Alabama A&M did a good job responding.
1st career touchdown for the sophomore Brian Nelson. And Alabama A&M, you mentioned capitalizing on turnovers. The Bulldogs turned it over twice in the 1st quarter. Texas Southern couldn't score off of those turnovers. They did get 14 points on their own, but it's 14-10. Alabama A&M down by 4. When we come back, we'll show you what happened when Jay and I went to space camp. This is an adventure that you don't want to miss. But we tried. Space camp, a lot of fun. It was the Space and Rocket Center here in Huntsville, Alabama. Part of the reason that the city is nicknamed the Rocket City. Tim Hall and Kevin Biddle, a.k.a. Speedo. Yeah, so nice showing us around and giving us a pretty memorable experience yesterday.
Some memories are better than others.
We'll get to that in a second. Kick goes out of bounds, so good starting field position for Texas Southern. And I will say this, Jay, your nickname when you played, it was Skywalker, right?
Sky.
Now, the multi-axis trainer is what you saw when we were spinning all around. You were there. I lasted the whole 40 seconds.
You did. I mean, you're a little bit more adventurous. You know, we talk about that off camera. Like, I'm not bungee jumping. You would bungee jump. Things of that nature.
You lasted how long?
It's just a number.
10 seconds,
hey,
15
I made
seconds.
It. I kept everything down, which is what I was concerned about. You know, I was really concerned about that one there. But that was something. You like a little gangster lean? You know, do that there.
Is that what you're calling it? The gangster lean?
That was a gangster lean. That was a good one, but that really was a great job. And as you mentioned, Mr. Hall and Speedo did a great job of laying it out to us. And if you've never been before, it's really worth the trip coming down here, seeing all the gadgets. And science is amazing to me.
When he played Skywalker, now he's just Groundwalker. That was Marcus Wright on first down. Okay.
You know, I didn't mess up on that. It was like a little three-step.
Yeah, we were just
I got the rhythm in the group.
We should have just gone with the high five.
The high five.
The high five up top. So should have left it at that. This is Wright again, and he's tackled in the backfield for a loss. 3 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. It was Corey Hart, the Marshall transfer. It'll bring up third down. Yeah, of all things, it was the choreographed fake hand pound, whatever you.
How'd that footage make it on the air?
You knew it was going to happen.
Can't trust guys in the truck. And I got a football here I'm holding as blackmail for them too. They may not get the goodies.
14-10. We got a good one here in Huntsville. 3rd and 11. Smalls steps up, throws, and it's caught by Joe Anderson. His first catch of the game, and it's good enough for a first down to the 40-yard line. A pickup of 22 yards.
This is a big-time throw by Rico Smalls. You know, so often when the ball's released, you follow the football, but watch the pressure. Watch everybody on his legs, draped on him, sliding, knowing he's going to get hit, and delivered a perfectly thrown ball to Joe Anderson. Big play. That's the composure you want to see from your quarterback.
And Smalls a little gimpy at the end of that play.
Yeah, I mean, he's hobbling pretty bad right now on one wheel. Fortunately for him, pretty sure they're going to be running the football.
Here's Wright. A couple of moves. He gets to the 42, a gain of 2, 2nd and 8. And again, it's Smalls. Looks like he's hurting. He's looking toward the sideline. Rudy Johnson is the backup quarterback. He's a redshirt freshman. Now, Smalls didn't enter the season as the starter. That was Dontavius Parker. But Parker's out for the season with a knee injury. So if Smalls can't continue, it's going to be a redshirt freshman, Rudy Johnson, who's going to be thrust into the limelight. Smalls will throw. And way over his intended target, Richard Samuel, 3rd down.
Yeah, watching that ankle injury is really going to be the key, because when you talk about Rico Smalls, we talked about how he's a runner first, passer second. Well, if you take away the strength of a quarterback, his legs, and force him to become a passer, advantage Alabama A&M defense.
You played quarterback. What impact does the ankle specifically have on a quarterback's release?
I mean, that's your plan. You know, you've got to find a place where you're going to land. Where, you know, if it's your right ankle, you're pushing off of that ankle there. If it's your left ankle, it's your plant ankle. So you got to have balance. You know, throwing a football, the key is you got to have good balance if you want to have a high completion percentage.
Smalls going to run.
Looks pretty healthy now.
Yeah. He's short of the first down. It'll bring up 4th down as he's bumped out of bounds inside the 35-yard line.
Yeah, that was Melvin Payne bringing the pressure, the defensive end. Transfer from the University of Ohio. Forcing Smalls to leave the pocket.
It's 4th down. The punting unit, which has been a misadventure the last couple of weeks. So far, so good today. Not on the field. So from the 35, I mean, this is sort of no man's land territory. Makes sense, Jay, to go for it?
If you're at this position and you feel you got to play where you've scouted something in their secondary that you can attack, go for it.
Smalls over the middle, broken up, incomplete. Clarence Morris with the pass defense. And another turnover on downs for Texas Southern. Their second failed 4th down conversion. But the Tigers still have a 4-point lead with 4.5 to play in the half.
The ACC's 2 undefeated teams.
14-10, Texas Southern leading Alabama A&M. 4:31 to go here in the first half. News and notes from around Black College football. Got a good one this weekend. Battle of the Bay, Hampton against Norfolk State. We get to see Norfolk next week. They take on Bethune. That's a Thursday night ESPNU game. Jackson State, who we saw a couple weeks ago, they're now in the top 25 in the FCS. And then the 10:30 Eastern ESPNU game this Saturday, Prairie View and Alabama State. That could very well be a preview of the SWAC championship.
That should be a good one. You talk about that Battle of the Bay, all eyes on that contest there in Norfolk, Virginia.
Nice stiff arm by Lacey, and he gets to the 40-yard line, 5 yards on a play. Gave it right to Stephen White with that right arm.
Good job. If you can't outrun them to the outside, if they catch up to you, have the ability to protect yourself and keep them off you. Good stiff arm, a.k.a. a la Walter Payton style.
Texas Southern's 212-degree boiling point defense. A&M has been able to move the ball on Texas Southern. Mason options to Lacey. Gets a block, and Lacey gets maybe 2 or 3. Kadarian Wilkins pushed him out of bounds, 3rd down.
Good job by Kadarian Wilkins coming up from that cornerback position, taking on the lead blocker for Alabama A&M, then going low, making the tackle on the running back, having good leverage.
Lacey, number 35, the big running back. He's a workhorse. You see a lot of teams in college football using multiple backs. Texas Southern certainly does it. He is their featured back. He's going to get a bulk of their carries. In the last couple of weeks, he was banged up a little bit. Suffered a back injury against Arkansas Pine Bluff and held to under 40 yards rushing in each of the last 2 games. But coaches told us he's healthy now.
And you appreciate the workhorse type of running backs until 4th quarter. You need fresh legs.
There was a penalty at the end of that play. It was on Texas Southern, personal foul. A late hit on Lacey going out of bounds. So a 1st down and a fresh set of downs for Alabama A&M with 3:32 to go. Mason throwing long again, and it's off the fingertips of his intended receiver, Terrence Pride. Midnight Madness. It's the beginning of the college basketball season. You can catch it tomorrow on ESPNU. We'll be on 11 campuses across the nation, including some heavyweights. North Carolina, Kentucky, Duke, Syracuse, defending champion UConn, and much more. We'll deliver some previews and whip-around coverage of some of the top college programs around the country. It starts at 9 Eastern. There's Harrison Barnes. Last season as a true freshman, more than 15 points, almost 6 rebounds per game, and he is part of a loaded Tar Heel team coming back. Talking to Jay Billis earlier this week, and he says this team has a chance to be as good as that 09 Carolina team.
Wow.
Mason wide open, Pride. Pride's got some speed, and he's got a 1st down and more. Still on his feet, Pride down the sideline. Touchdown, Terrence Pride.
Great job by Terrence Pride of run after catch. And watch Mason stand tall in the pocket there. No, you're going to get hit. Ooh. Doesn't matter. You'll take that hit if you can deliver a touchdown pass. And this is all Terrence Pride. getting in the secondary, gets a block downfield, turns on the speed and the burners. They talked about the big play potential that Terrence Pride had. I think he got a glimpse of it just then.
Offensive coordinator Cedric Pearl told us he's the fastest guy on this team. He gave the defense in practice fits last year as a redshirt. As the point after is good, and it's 17-14 Alabama A&M, and Pride using that speed to give A&M its first lead of the game. It's 17-14, 3:11 to play in the first half.
At halftime, guys.
All right, thank you, Rich. Here it is 17-14. Alabama A&M 17 unanswered. 43-yard touchdown reception by Terrence Pride, giving the Bulldogs their first lead of the game.
Yeah, that's what it's going to come down to. When you got two teams that are really fighting for their postseason lives, can't afford to drop any more contests in conference play. Great result by both teams.
And Jay, the last couple of weeks, Texas Southern, we've seen their defense give up a lot of points, more than 100 in fact, which is rare for one of the best defenses in the nation. They're actually still #1 in the SWAC in total defense. But this time it hasn't been because of turnovers. It hasn't been because of poor special teams. Alabama A&M has shown that they can move the ball on this Texas Southern defense.
Schematically, Anthony Jones and offensive coordinator Cedric Pearl have done a good job figuring out the weaknesses of this Texas Southern defense, taking advantage of the passing game, hitting them with the long ball and the big plays.
Daniels from his own 4. And he's tackled at the 25-yard line, a 21-yard return. Well, Jay Walker, you just got a tweet from Robert Mathis, didn't you?
Hey, he said John Stallworth has always been one of his heroes, and hey, that's a good hero to have.
Robert Mathis, one of the all-time greats here at Alabama A&M, 20 sacks in 2002, then a record at the FCS level, and of course has had a great career in the NFL, 3-time Pro Bowler, has played in 2 Super Bowls, and a part of that Super Bowl team in 2007 when the Colts beat the Chicago Bears.
20 sacks in a season. Those are career numbers for some guys.
I didn't know that quarterbacks and D linemen hung out and talked.
Not that close. but, you know, one thing I will say about Robert Mathis and, you know, giving back to the A&M community, this past offseason, he hosted the very first Robert Mathis football camp right here on the campus. And he works out with the strength and conditioning coach here, longtime conditioning coach, Coach Hester. He's been here for a while. And I like that concept. If he was good enough to get you to the NFL, when you make it and become all pro, keep using the guy that got you there.
Man down on the field is Michael Griggs. Slow to get up, but he's back on his feet. Yeah, we were in the weight room yesterday, and they got a big plaque there of Robert Mathis and all his accomplishments, and there were many.
Yes, and of the years that I've been covering HBCU games, I would say the 2 most dominating defensive players I've seen were Robert Mathis and Rasheem Mathis from Bethune-Cookman. Those guys were head and shoulders.
What about Michael Strahan, who played at Texas Southern?
I didn't see him. He's older than I am, Niche. But we know Strahan can play. Strahan's a great one. But then that's the beauty of it. You know, you talked about it with John Stallworth here in the booth. The guys that go on to play in the NFL, they carry that black college bond, that chip on their shoulder, but that camaraderie. And, you know, you look at that team there in Indianapolis. I mean, Antoine Bethea played safety as well from Howard University.
1st and 10, Texas Southern down 3, 2:18 to go here in the first half. We got a good one in Huntsville. Texas Southern desperately in need of a win if they are to have any hope of playing in the SWAC championship again, and Alabama A&M looking to get there. A little option here by Smalls. Pitches it backwards. It's on the ground. Texas Southern recovers. That's going to be a loss of 7 yards, so 2nd and long coming up.
Yeah, that's what you can't do. If you're going to do that option off the end man on the line of scrimmage, it's got to be a bang-bang play. You can't double pump that football. He comes there, does a little fake, then decides, oh, I should have gotten rid of the football. He couldn't do it in time, and fortunate that the running back, Mark Gilbert, recovered that ball on the ground.
Yeah, it looked like Willie Fuller may have popped it out there. Either way, it's 2nd down and long. Texas Southern still has all 3 timeouts as we come up on 90 seconds to play in this first half. Flag on the play. Smalls. They'll just step out of bounds. Let's see what the penalty is. Trennis Livingston is the referee.
Illegal motion on the offense. That penalty is declined. Third down.
So you're going to see right here, illegal motion. He's going to start off on the line of scrimmage, and then when the ball snaps, he's going to try and move back. Wow, that's like you're going in motion there. Can't do that.
Easy call for the line judge, so it's 3rd down and 17. A&M's got 2 timeouts left. Smalls. Hit as he throws.
Look out.
In double coverage. And it's broken up. No flag. Joe Anderson, the intended receiver. Rico Porch getting in there to knock it away. And now it's the punting unit on for Texas Southern. And with a 3-point game late in the first half, punting has been one misadventure after another the last 2 weeks.
You'll see Smalls here standing in the pocket. And once again, taking another shot right up the middle. That's Corey Hart on a stunt, getting a knock on the quarterback.
There's Francois Ejiofor, and look at how Alabama State is lined up. They're coming after him. Now they back off slightly off the line. Ejiofor gets the punt, gets it off. Fair catch signal. And DeJohnette calls for a fair catch. He's hit afterwards, and not a smart penalty there by Texas Southern.
Well, when a return man calls for a fair catch, you just don't touch him. You don't put a shoulder on him at all. You got to leave him alone. Exposed receiver.
Kick catch interference on the kicking team. 15 yards from the end of the kick. 1st and 10.
So solid starting field position thanks to the penalty for Alabama A&M. Conference realignment, of course, that's been all the rage going back to the offseason and up until now. In the Big 12, TCU accepted an invitation to join the Big 12 on Monday. They were supposed to go to the Big East, actually had to pay an exit fee to the Big East without ever playing a game in the Big East. Central Florida reportedly a top choice for the Big East, and Boise State also on the conference's radar according to reports. You knew about Texas A&M accepting an invite to go to the SEC, and the question is, will Missouri follow? Mason dumps it out of the backfield to Lacey. Flag on the play as Lacey is bumped out of bounds.
Yeah, that's going to be an easy one to call. It's going to be holding on left guard Bryant Ross.
Holding on the offense, number 73. 10-yard penalty. Replay, 1st down.
And that's unfortunate because that was a very nicely designed screen that they set up there.
And that almost wipes out that 15-yard penalty on the punt.
Yeah, so you just, those type of mental errors there, not helping yourself. 5 penalties for Texas Southern, 3 for Alabama A&M on the night.
42 seconds left here in the first half. 1st and 20. We'll see if Alabama A&M decides to take a shot or play it conservatively. They come out with 4 wide. They'll run it, though. It's Lacey right up the middle. Gain of 3, and we'll see if Alabama A&M lines up for another play. Play clock is off. So it looks like Alabama A&M might be content to go to halftime with a 17-14 lead. Remember, Texas Southern led this game 14-0, but A&M coming roaring back to score 17 unanswered to close the first half. A couple of big plays in the passing game helping to set up some scores. Big receptions by DeMario Ross and a touchdown catch by Terrence Pride, and Alabama A&M will get the ball as well to start the 3rd quarter. So at halftime, your score: the Bulldogs of Alabama A&M 17, the Tigers of Texas Southern 14. Right now we get you to the Sports Center U studio and Rich Hollenberg.
Welcome to the
McDonald's halftime score here in Huntsville. Alabama A&M 17, Texas Southern 14. with Jay Walker and Anish Shroff here, and this was a game that featured two teams that were supposed to be pretty good defensively, and it's been the offenses. Both teams close to 300 yards of total offense in that first half.
Yeah, I mean, that's been a surprising story. One thing Alabama A&M does traditionally is run stop. They did not stop the run in the first half. Texas Southern ran the ball up and down the field on. And for Alabama A&M, the question mark has been their passing game. They went to the pass, exploited the Texas Southern defense. So I'm very surprised at the offensive productivity we've seen in the first half. In the second half, look for the defense to try and tighten things up.
Yeah, let's take a look at how Alabama A&M got back in the game. How they got back to a better state, brought to you by State Farm.
You know, Alabama A&M using the power running game, hit them with the dose of their own medicine, and then you saw the touchdown pass for Mason, the Prince, great job turning on the Jets, getting on the sideline, Terrence Pride, showing you what it's all about.
Deontay Mason, the quarterback for Alabama A&M, completed just 5 passes in that first half. 5 passes, but for 190 yards. His shortest completion was 23 yards, so Alabama A&M had the deep ball working.
Yeah, call that the vertical passing game, and that's what's going to happen when you miss the short gimme passes, but he's a pretty good downfield intermediate throw passer there, so he was able to take advantage of that. But you got to get that percentage up there a little bit more. He's got to hit those open receivers. He was very inaccurate in the first half, was very fortunate to come up with some very big plays.
Meanwhile, good balance for Texas Southern, and Martin Gilbert really leading that offense, 138 rushing yards on just 13 carries in that first half. Second half about to get started. Alabama A&M, they won the toss, selected to defer, so they will receive to start the second half. Third quarter, 17-14, Alabama A&M. Texas Southern scored the first 14 points of the game, and then Alabama A&M scored 17 unanswered to close the first stanza. Terrence Pride and Montarius Smith back deep for Alabama A&M. And this kick goes out of bounds, and a flag will come in for illegal procedure. So not the way Texas Southern wanted to start the second half.
On the kicking team, ball will be placed at the 40-yard line. First and 10, A&M.
Now what I want to see in the second half is how they go about making defensive changes.
Where I'm from, brought to you by the U.S. Marines. Looking at where Alabama A&M quarterback Deontay Mason is from. Hails from Nashville, Tennessee. Transferred from Kentucky, and he's had back-to-back 1,000-yard passing seasons. Came to Kentucky as a quarterback, and then he was moved to tight end before transferring. And as we told you in that first half, only 5 completions, 5 of 14. Not a good percentage, but 190 yards. He's had the deep play working.
And the 5 of 14, you know, doesn't look great on paper, but when you've got a team that's blitzing, applying a lot of pressure, you're not going to pass in the 60 to 70% range.
Lacey on first down, stiff arm to the outside, takes a tackler with him to the 45-yard line. Trey Walker coming along for the ride.
And I want to see the defensive adjustments. In the first half, both teams played a tremendous amount of man-to-man coverage. Man-to-man coverage all over the field. And if you're going to play man-to-man coverage, there's an opportunity for big plays. I wonder which one of these teams is going to give a little ground a little bit, go to a little bit more zone, try and confuse the opposing passer.
2nd and 5. Another option here by Mason. It's Lacey. Had to go back to get it, and he has trouble turning the corner, but he finally does. Tyrell Jones bumped him out of bounds. He gets 3 yards. Looked like he was going to be tackled in the backfield.
Yeah, that was a good job by Lacey of just getting back to the initial line of scrimmage and then turning it into a positive play and almost picking up the first down. He was stuffed in the backfield, but we've seen him time and time again give you with the nice stiff arm to extend the run a little bit longer, and was fortunate enough to get the first down for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, he gets the first down. Lacey, described by the coaches as a bruiser. We've seen it today. A lot of stiff arms, a lot of tough running. 80 yards so far in the evening. And Lacey gets it again. Pushes a tackler down to the 49-yard line. Tyler Crane went down a gain of a yard. And Alabama A&M in Texas Southern territory here on their first drive of the third quarter.
And that's how you know you got a big bruising running back. When you start seeing linebackers go off the field holding their shoulder parts, realizing they're in a physical contest. And Lacey's one of those dying breeds. You don't see too many big bruising running backs in the college football game nowadays with the spread offenses taking over. If you're a bruiser and can run, you're special, a la Trent Richardson, those type of guys.
Not too many guys who will take it every down anymore in college or the pros. This is Mason. He'll keep it, and he'll scamper out of bounds at the 46-yard line after a pickup of 3. We haven't seen much of Mason running this evening.
And that's because, you know, by design, you've got blitzing linebackers all over the place. They're going to focus on you. Every time he drops back to pass, they don't call design runs for him. They normally like to let him create.
David Isabel, the former Alabama Birmingham transfer, in the game. He's the backup quarterback. They'll use him in the backfield. They'll run some options for him, and they'll use him as a receiver out of the backfield. He's lined up right now next to Mason. Mason's screen pass knocked down, and it'll bring up 4th down. William Parker got his hand on it.
Yeah, this is one of those contests where it's going to be tough to get wide running back screens called in the middle of the field because of all the man-to-man coverage being played. You can get a wide receiver screen on the outside and get the good blocking, but when you try to run a screen in the middle of the field where you've got linebackers there playing one-on-one coverage, not necessarily the play call you want to have.
Chance Wilson's 3rd punt of the game coming up. Richard Samuel back at his own 10-yard line for Texas Southern. Samuel lets this one bounce to the 21. It goes out of bounds at about the 24-yard line. Texas Southern ball when we come back. 17-14. It's the hometown Bulldogs on top. And that's tonight's Bringing the Flavor, brought to you by McDonald's, with Jay Walker and E. Schroff here in Huntsville, Alabama. And Alabama A&M with a 3-point lead on Texas Southern. The Bulldogs going for their 5th straight win. Texas Southern trying to snap a 2-game losing streak. Tigers will throw. Smalls completes. And it's Chip Gregory with a nice pickup on 1st down, gain of 21. And a 1st down, Texas Southern.
You see Texas Southern going back to basics, same type of play pass that they did in the first half when they had some success. Bootleg from the quarterback, 2-level throws, tight end wide open in the soft spot.
Alabama A&M with a victory. It would be 5 in a row, and they would have a lot of momentum going into the Magic City Classic, which they play in a little more than 2 weeks against rival Alabama State, as Chris Irvin is down on the field, one of the safeties for Alabama A&M. So the Bulldogs, they've got their hopes on winning the East Division title and maybe playing for the SWAC championship, and a lot of chance to take down Alabama State, who right now leads the conference with a 5-0 record. Jackson State, despite the 3-1 record, due to low APR rates, that's academic progress, they're ineligible to play for a SWAC championship. And out west, Texas Southern 1-3 in conference. They're the defending SWAC champions, beat Alabama State in the title game a year ago. One more loss, and you can basically put a fork in them in terms of them contending for a SWAC title. They basically need to win all their conference games from here on out.
Yeah, because they can play some of those teams coming up on their schedule there. I think, you know, surprising news is, you know, Grambling at 1-4. Most people aren't used to seeing the G-men from Grambling at the bottom of the West Division in the SWAC. And then you talk about the East Division. I mean, Alabama A&M doing a good job. Their one conference loss to Southern University, they kind of called that the hangover loss. They felt like because they gave away a game to Hampton University late in the Classic in Chicago, that the team was still focused on the previous week, got beat by a Southern squad. Ever since then, they've been able to turn around, and just with one conference loss, if they go into that Magic City Classic with just one conference loss, and Alabama State is undefeated in conference play, oh boy.
70,000 people we can expect at least. Be loud.
If they're that close, increase that number up to 80,000.
Yeah.
That place will be packed. Barbecue everywhere, Niche.
Alabama A&M is going to have some time to prepare for that game. They've got a bye next week. This is Gilbert on first down, and he's thrown back for a big loss by who else? The Marshall transfer, Corey Hart.
Corey Hart is one of the top defensive ends in the nation when you talk about tackles for loss. Coming into tonight's contest, 13 tackles behind the line of scrimmage, and you can see why. Beat your man one-on-one, locate the football, bring him down. 14 tackles for loss on the season for Corey Hart. Getting it done.
He came in 5th in the nation, tied for 5th in the nation in tackles for loss, and came in tied for 10th in the FCS in sacks per game. Smalls going deep and way over the head of Samuel. Incomplete, 3rd down.
And you're starting to wonder if now, you know, the legs and the fatigue from that 13-hour bus ride are starting to show up in the case of Texas Southern there. They came out smoking, ready to play, excited, energetic. Sooner or later, that wear and tear, just your body just doesn't react that well.
What effect does that have on a team? A 13-hour bus ride. They got in here Wednesday morning.
I mean, keep this in mind. You know, at this point in the season, everybody's a little banged up, right? Nobody's fresh as they are. So those injuries, you got to, you know, your knees are in a cramped position. These are big men, big boys on these buses. You know, and you're on the bus that while, you can try and get out and stretch, but I mean, 13 hours is 13 hours. Just kind of mentally, you got to get your whole body clock together, and just you don't feel comfortable in it. Very difficult to do.
And it looks like it's going to be delay of game on Texas Southern. Well, they got the timeout in time, so a timeout averts a delay of game call. First timeout of the second half for Texas Southern with 11:33 to go. Saturday, we've got a trio of stars that you can watch on ESPNU. Ray Graham, 2nd in the nation in rushing yards, leads Pittsburgh at home against Utah. How about Orwin Smith and Georgia Tech? The Yellow Jackets with that triple option, undefeated. They go to Charlottesville, and there might not be a better freshman receiver, or maybe a better freshman in the nation than Clemson wideout Sammy Watkins.
And I really think that Clemson-Maryland game, that's going to be interesting, because the thing that's given Clemson trouble throughout the season has been teams that have mobile quarterbacks, a la E.J. Manuel down at Florida State. Wofford ran the ball against them pretty good. Maryland now, how do you game plan for them? You know Danny O'Brien's the passer, preseason all-conference quarterback. Now they had C.J. Scott, the running quarterback. Could be interesting.
You went on the record this past Tuesday, the experts on ESPNU, you picked Maryland to beat Clemson.
I think so. I just think that, you know, in the air, Clemson may be thinking down the road to that battle versus Georgia Tech. Forget about the Terps.
Smalls going long, and it looks like it's caught by Michael Holmes. He may have taken that away from the DB.
Oh, he came back and got this ball there. You know, this is a young freshman that's made an impact on campus immediately. Ball's thrown in the air. Becomes a matter who wants it more. Go
yeah,
up.
He took it away from Derek Harris.
Snatched it. And great strong hands, and timed up the jump, and look at the strong hands to yank it away. That's a freshman playing like a grown man.
I know he plays on Texas Southern. We had John Stallworth in the booth earlier. Stallworth, as a wide receiver, would have been proud. There's Gilbert, and he gets maybe a yard if he's lucky. It'll bring up 2nd down.
Now, we've seen Texas Southern get down here before and walk away with nothing. And, you know, with the struggles that they have in their kicking game, you know, you got to be thinking you're in 4-down territory. You got to know that as a quarterback and use that in your mental Rolodex in terms of your aggressiveness in your pass selection.
They have only attempted 1 field goal the entire season. This is their 6th game. Smalls throwing, and it's broken up. He wanted Samuel. Good coverage by Joshua Uday.
And that's what we talk about, you know, in your mental Rolodex, your pass selection. It's 2nd down and 10. You call a pass and play. You just want positive yardage.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer, 97, defense. 15 yards, automatic, first down.
Now there's a break. Tim Tillman called for roughing the passer.
And you saw there, he went with the aggressive look downfield. You saw Tillman coming to the replay late there, but you know, right now you got to be thinking, okay, I got to run it back in the flat wide open, get him the ball, he picks up 4 yards. Instead, you go downfield and throw the incomplete pass. You were bailed out, though, by Tim Tillman hitting the quarterback a little bit late.
I said before, Texas Southern had only attempted 1 field goal. They've attempted 2, actually. 0 for 2, though. Not much on first down, maybe a yard.
And that's one thing that the Bulldog defense has done in the first half, particularly that first quarter. Texas Southern had the ability to run the ball right in the teeth of the Alabama A&M defense, in between the 2 guards. They got plenty of yards in the second half. It seemed as if Tim Tillman and Preston Nelson have really tightened things up for the Bulldogs' interior line defense.
That defensive line is the strength of this Alabama A&M defense, even though it's a pretty small D-line. Play action. End zone, nope. Shy of the end zone. Intended receiver was Gregory. It'll bring up 3rd down.
Vernon Marshall doing a good job of recognizing that play action pass coming his way, forcing Rico Smalls to get rid of that ball sooner than he would have liked.
So 3rd down and 9. They got to get to the 4-yard line for a first down. And a player down. Corey Hart, that could be big. He's the 5th-year senior leading the team in sacks. Defensive coordinator Bronski Towns called him the best player on the defense.
Seems to be jogging off.
Seems to be okay.
When we saw the line, the shot of the defensive lineman during that drive, they were huffing and puffing for some oxygen. I wonder if he might have just kind of laid down for a little while.
We've seen Texas Southern switch it up a little bit in this second half, this 3rd quarter. Going to the air a little more, selling that play action. When we saw Rico Smalls 2 weeks ago against Jackson State, didn't really have a great game, was under pressure a lot, sacked a lot, looking much more poised in the pocket tonight.
He has, and he's shown he's growing week by week. Made some pretty good throws here tonight. This is a part of the field. Look for Joe Anderson if you're Texas Southern.
Smalls under pressure. Throws, and it's batted down. Incomplete. Clarence Morris. 4th down.
Trying to set up a screen. Pressure all over the quarterback. Not enough time to get that off. And this is one of that points in the game where you see the score. I mean, what a big detriment it is right now to have faith in your kicker that you can go out and kick a, you know, some people call this almost a chip shot, but you've got 4th and 9 and you're forced to go for it.
It would be about a 30-yarder, and you're seeing the offense out on the field. Special teams, or lack thereof, has been a big hindrance to Texas Southern all season long. Smalls under pressure again. Rolling out. Throws on the run. End zone. And who's got it? Is it Alabama A&M or Texas Southern? It is intercepted by A&M. Joshua Uday. It's a touchback, so the Bulldogs will have it at the 20. It looked like it was either going to be a touchdown or a touchback. A big hold by Alabama A&M, and they still hold on to a 3-point lead. ESPNU College Football Primetime is brought to you by Disney Parks. Don't wait. Let the memories begin. Alabama A&M, their fans, they've got something to cheer for. Up 3. 9:01 to go in the 3rd quarter. The defense coming up with a big stop on 4th down. There's the longtime defensive coordinator, Bronski Towns, 21 years as Alabama A&M's defensive coordinator. He's been with the team for 33 years. In fact, his first season was John Stallworth's freshman year at Alabama A&M.
He's seen some good ones come and go. You know, and what a great person to be around. Every time you're around him, he just exudes that positive energy, that positive vibe.
And he likes to blitz.
Oh, call him Blitzky Towns. He will bring the pressure, and I think Texas Southern saw that in that last drive.
Mason on first down, over the middle, and in the direction of nobody. Mason second in the conference in total offense entering play. Was just 5 of 14 in the first half, but did have 190 yards passing at the break.
You know, it was funny. I had an opportunity to talk to the quarterback coach for Alabama A&M, John McKenzie, and he pointed out something very unique to me. He said, Anthony Mason is one of only 2 quarterbacks in the conference that have played in the SWAC championship game. The other one would be Dominguez, who's now the backup quarterback at Alabama State. Mason led Alabama A&M to the SWAC championship as a freshman. So he thinks if he can get him on that big stage, he's going to perform well. So that's letting them know that if we can get this thing going and we'll come down to that showdown against Alabama State, they think they've got a guy that can lead them to the promised land.
They started 0-2. Mason had just 1 touchdown pass in the team's first 4 games, but entering today, 7 TD passes in the last 2 games. And his Bulldogs on a 4-game winning streak, entering tonight, trying to make it 5 against Texas Southern. Mason has time, throws, and it's complete. That's Montarius Smith. Good enough for a first down, 17 yards.
Yeah, good time to throw the ball here. Nice pocket for Mason, able to sit there, set up, step into his throw, and deliver a strike to the outside, getting the ball there. Nicely thrown ball.
Not a lot of cheapies. That 17-yard pass completion, the shortest completion of the game for Deontay Mason.
When we talk about it, it's definitely not a West Coast offense, is it? This is a vertical passing game offense. And that's what you would expect from Anthony Jones' coach team. He played for the Washington Redskins under Joe Gibbs. They went down the field quite often.
Mason again, downfield, incomplete. Good coverage by Trey Walker, intended for Gialonzo Milton. Hey, you mentioned Anthony Jones. The night before Super Bowl 22, he was Doug Williams' roommate.
He was, and that's that coaching tree you talked about there. That the 87 Redskins team there, the camaraderie there. You talk about Anthony Jones. You talk about Doug Williams now coaching at Grambling, at Arkansas Pine Bluff. Monty Coleman's a coach there.
All played together on that 87 Redskins team that won the Super Bowl.
Now, Jones and Coleman had some battles. So that's linebacker tight end every day in practice.
Of course, Doug Williams, the MVP of that Super Bowl. Here's Lacey. Lost the football. And Texas Southern has it. 3rd turnover of the game for Alabama A&M. Stephen White recovered it, and the Tigers will have the ball in A&M territory.
If you're going to be a workhorse running back, you must protect that football. Keep 2 hands on it at all time. Not a smart move to run in between the tackles like that with only 1 arm on the football. 2 Texas Southern defenders had an opportunity to land on the fumble, and ended up being William Parker that was able to come up with it and secure the turnover for the Tigers.
So Texas Southern, no points off the first 2 Alabama A&M turnovers. Let's see if they can get something here. Strong run by Martin Gilbert on first down. Good for 4 yards. 5 turnovers in the game. So an opportunity for the Tigers. They've had 2 trips fairly deep into A&M territory and come up with nothing. Gilbert wrapped up back at the 40-yard line by Corey Hart. And it's 3rd and 10.
Well, let's go back to this fumble you see right here. And he's got the ball, and actually he's got it in 1 arm, and it starts coming out at contact or maybe a little bit before contact was made.
So 3rd and 10, loss of 4, so the ball back at the original line of scrimmage. Play action. Smalls eludes 1 man, throws, nearly picked off. Vandrick Jackson went up for it, couldn't come down with it. And now the punting unit. So far, so good for Kevin Ramsey's club. The last 2 weeks, a lot of miscues on special teams. Punts blocked, bad snaps. Bronski Towns, the defensive coordinator who also controls the special teams unit for Alabama A&M, said they would try to come after the punter. They don't hear. They didn't send everybody, but he said plan on seeing some chaos up front.
False start. Offense, number 5. 5-yard penalty. Remain 4th down.
The issues on special teams, Jay, it's been on the punter, Francois Ejiofor. It's also been on the long snapper. That's kind of been a revolving door. We've seen Kendall Page. We've seen Jonathan Hollins. Ejiofor gets this one down and gets it off. And it takes the Texas Southern bounce. It'll be down inside the 10-yard line. So Alabama A&M, a long way to go. 36-yard punt, no return. Bulldogs still nursing that 3-point lead. Alabama A&M with a 3-point lead, 5:51 to go in the third quarter. Neither team has scored in the second half. We revisit our Twitter question. Who do you think are the top 3 bands in black college football? You tweeted us at ESPNU. Oh, someone's got Alabama A&M as the pack runner, the show band of the South. You've got Southern, Florida A&M, Jackson State. We saw Jackson State a couple of weeks ago. The Sonic Boom of the South.
You were impressed with the Sonic Boom of the South, weren't you? Those are some pretty good ones. And traditionally, these are really some good bands year in and year out. Southern, Florida A&M, Jackson State. Probably didn't see some Bethune-Cookman in there. Alabama A&M, they showed out. They represented well at halftime.
Yeah, Florida A&M, the only MEAC school represented there.
It's a SWAC broadcast, so you expect to see that.
This is Terrell Beatty, and he's going the wrong way. LaGrone Shields gets him for a loss of 2.
You know, something that's been lost in all this is, you know, the job that Kevin Ramsey's done as the head coach, defensive coordinator. He only was named the head coach 2 months before the football season started. The coach that led them to the SWAC championship last year, a season ago, Johnny Cole, was released. Ramsey took over. So he's done a decent job in doing that under that type of situation, those circumstances there. I mean, never easy to replace a coach, particularly a coach that you were coaching underneath. Now he's the head guy, and it's been what you call a wild ride for those folks down in Houston, Texas, and he's just trying to balance the ship.
Quick bubble screen there to Monteria Smith. He dropped it, 3rd down. So 3rd and 12 with Jay Walker and Ish Schroff. We're here in Huntsville, Alabama. Texas Southern score the first 14 points of the game. Alabama A&M closed the first half with 17 unanswered. The Bulldogs, the home team in Maroon, they're going for their 5th straight win. Texas Southern trying to stop a 2-game losing streak. And if Alabama A&M can win, their next game is against Alabama State, who's right now undefeated in the SWAC. And that's the Magic City Classic. And that could determine who represents the SWAC East in the SWAC Championship. There's Beatty on 3rd down. And he's tripped up. Nice play by Stephen White coming up from that safety position. So 4th down coming up.
Well, this is a great open field tackle by Stephen White coming up from that safety position. Read, recognize, get him low, hold on to him. Good wrap, good tackle.
So Chance Wilson, the place kicker and the punter. About 7 yards deep in his own end zone, will punt it away. And that kick goes right out of bounds. So let's see where the officials spot it, but not a good punt by Alabama A&M, and the ball is spotted at the 26-yard line. Just a 19-yard punt for the Bulldogs. We have a terrific slate of games for you this Saturday on ESPNU. Georgia Tech special. Marcus Wright trying to get to the outside, but he's wrapped up in the backfield by Vernon Marshall. Loss of 6 yards on the play.
For a guy that is 5'11", 188 pounds, Vernon Marshall doesn't mind mixing it up, making plays behind the line of scrimmage, bringing down the opposing running backs, and he's the reason why the A&M Bulldogs are able to use that 4-2-5 defense. He's that 5 guy. So you would say he's got the size of a safety, but they bring him down to play just like a linebacker.
Jay, why do they use a 4-2-5, 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers, 5 DBs as their base defense?
It was designed to combat spread offenses. In the SWAC Conference, they see a number of teams that like to throw the football everywhere, so they don't have to substitute if you've got a 4-2-5. You like playing in nickel.
Smalls throws in coverage, and Anderson came down with it. Over a double team. 14 yards on the play.
I mean, this is a matter of just who wants it more. Sometimes you can say who the better athlete is, and Joe Anderson elevates and comes down with that catch. Great job of elevation, getting the ball at its highest point in between 2 Bulldog defenders.
Call that ups.
Or hops.
Hops. Ups was a 90s thing, I guess. 3rd and 2. Right. Lost the football. And it looks like Texas Southern has it.
When you've got 2 physical defenses and each offense is continuing to challenge the other by running the ball right up the gut in the heart of the defense. Listen to the recognition by the players. That's what you got to do. When you're down there on the field, you can't see everything, but you hear fumble, you start looking on the ground and see if the ball's at your feet.
4th down, and Texas Southern wants a timeout. They've been on this end of the field before in a 4th down situation, have not been able to convert, leaving points on the board. They don't have the faith in their kicking game, just 2 field goal attempts all season, and 0 for 3 on 4th down so far tonight.
And it catches up to you. I mean, had they had the ability to kick a field goal, a 30-yard field goal, they have a tie game right now, and they would be driving for the lead. But because they didn't kick that field goal earlier, don't have that faith, continue to go for it on 4th down.
Now let's go back to our Lexus playbook, show you some of the problems that Texas Southern has had in the kicking game. They don't really use their place kicker much, and the punting situation was dreadful the past 2 weeks. This is against Jackson State, a game you and I did 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, just never had any chemistry there. They couldn't get it going. And like I said, it's one of those things where it's your turn to mess up. It's the long snapper's turn to mess up. It's the punter's turn to mess up. It's the field goal kicker's turn to mess up. The holder, that's just not how you play good team football on special teams.
Texas Southern has had chances this half. Their last drive started at the A&M 40. They punted. This drive started at the A&M 26. 4th and 2. Smalls to the air. He's got the 1st down. It's Davison.
One thing you know Alabama A&M likes to do is bring pressure. They block the blitz, and if you don't get to the quarterback, you're really putting a lot of pressure on your defensive secondary to cover for a while. Good job by Rico Smalls of recognizing the mismatch, delivering a strike, convert on 3rd down. On 4th down,
Davison, the big catch. Smalls going for the end zone, and it's going to be ruled incomplete. Joe Anderson had it but was out of bounds. A.J. Clark had him pinned in that corner.
He just ran out of real estate. Did you see Joe Anderson get up for this ball? This ball is 5 yards out of bounds, but watch him elevate up and over. He comes down with the football, just ran out of real estate. That's a certain talent you got to have, you know, the ability to have a ball go up in the air and just know you're going to come down with it.
Well, earlier on the drive, he had the catch in double coverage, remember?
Yeah, and we've seen him do that time and time again throughout his career. We reset the 25-second clock here.
Solid game for Smalls, 12 of 26. Not really a guy who has a high completion percentage, but you got to like the 226 yards.
Bringing pressure again.
Here's the blitz. Smalls throwing incomplete. That one in the direction of Wayne Ingram, the backup tight end. 3rd down.
And when a team is bringing pressure and you know it's an all-out blitz and man-to-man, tight end is not who you want to go to normally because they don't separate as quickly as your wide receiver. You like to see them now. If I'm the offensive coordinator, Charlie Coe for Texas Southern, I'd go ahead and bait them, let them try to bring the blitz, call a quick slant route to Joe Anderson, my best playmaker, and get rid of the ball quickly.
Texas Southern 4 for 12 on third down. Jay, we know this is essentially two-down territory. You think about a run.
I mean, that would be an option if you have that much faith in your running game, but it's been tough running for them in the second half.
Smalls rolling out to his left. Ball's batted down. Fourth down coming up.
William Fuller doing a good job from that inside linebacker position of getting his hands on the ball. They're going to try and move the pocket. You see Fuller right there, number 51 in your screen. Sees the quarterback arms go back. He leaves his feet.
And they're going to try the field goal. So we've seen them not try the field goal earlier in this game. William Ortiz, just his third attempt of the season. It's a 30-yard attempt. He's 0 for 2 this year, and his longest attempt was 30 yards. The kick, the snap, it's blocked. Alabama A&M will have the ball. Special teams can't deliver for Texas Southern. It was almost like a ticking time bomb. You wondered when it would come back to haunt them.
We kept questioning, why don't they go for the field goal? Well, guess what? We just got our answer. That's why they don't go for the field goal. They can't block a 30-yard field goal attempt. This is a chip shot. He goes, oh, bad hole. They bobbled it. Theron Rice able to come through and block that field goal, but you can tell there was no rhythm there. The snap was a decent snap. The holder was bobbling it. The kicker was waiting for the holder to put the ball down. You know, the rule of kicking is if it's something within 30 yards, you don't double clutch. You can just go ahead and use a scoop shot to get it up. Let your holder do the job.
So A&M ball from the 20. Mason on first down, going deep, and nearly hauled in by Milton. Ball was tipped. Milton got his hands on it a couple times, just couldn't bring it in.
You see they're over there talking to the kicker. Hey, what happened there? I don't know. But look, he's dirty. How often you see kickers with dirty jerseys? Not too often. How many times tonight have we seen Alabama A&M go directly at Trey Walker? They've gone his way several times. Good-looking freshman quarterback from Northwestern High School down in Miami. I'm sure that high school rings a bell. Corey Harris, Sean Spence, all those
Factory.
guys. The Factory.
Mason finds Pride. Nice move by Pride, and he gets past the 30 for a first down. 14 yards on the play. To go back to Texas Southern's last possession, you want to talk about empty possessions as we have a flag on the play.
1st and 10.
And it's on the defense, so move that up. As I was saying, you want to talk about empty possessions. Texas Southern in this game, 1 for 5 in the red zone.
Oh, ouch. Yeah, you can't go on the road and expect to beat a good football team with that type of percentage in the red zone.
Four wide here on 1st and 10. Low snap. Mason throws. He's got Smith dragging tacklers across the 45-yard line, but there is a flag on the play.
Mason's pass is complete to number 4, Monteria Smith. Stop by number 9, Devon Trahan, and number 39, for Texas Southern.
Offensive pass interference, number 1. Be 15 yards from the previous spot. Replay, first down. He was blocking while the ball was in the air.
That's the junior, Gialonzo Milton.
And that's when you can't have. I mean, if A&M can get a touchdown on the board, that would almost, put this ball away with the lack of productivity for the Texas Southern offense inside the red zone. And just think about it. You just mentioned how Texas Southern's 1 of 5 in the red zone. They're only down by 3 points right there in this football contest. And think about how many points they've left on the board. Alabama A&M doing a poor job of putting away a team that's really struggling to put points on the board in the red zone.
Texas Southern has been able to move the ball. They just can't finish drives. Mason under pressure. And he's taken down as he gets across the 35-yard line. Got 2 yards on the play. It's going to bring up 2nd and long. But that looks like it'll be the last play of the 3rd quarter. Missed opportunity, sort of the theme of this quarter, especially for Texas Southern. They started 2 drives in Alabama A&M territory. No points to show for it. Had a kick blocked. They've been able to move the ball, just can't finish it. We have played 3 quarters in Huntsville, and it's the home team still with their halftime advantage of 17-14.
Russell.
Texas Southern jumped out to a 14-0 first quarter lead in this game. They scored 2 touchdowns in the span of less than a minute. But the 2nd quarter was all Alabama A&M. The Bulldogs with 17 unanswered going into halftime, and they had a 17-14 lead going into the 3rd quarter. And the 3rd quarter, we saw a lot of movement, but not a lot of scoring. Both teams had opportunities. More so Texas Southern, but neither could capitalize. Martin Gilbert, 130 yards rushing. He had 138 in the first half, -8 here in the second half, and Alabama A&M up by 3. And Texas Southern actually 18 negative rushing yards since the first quarter when they had a $156. On 2nd and long, Deontay Mason throws incomplete. He wanted Milton, but he was double teamed.
And you're starting to get the feeling that if Alabama A&M does not pick up its offensive productivity, that Texas Southern's going to make a big play and take the lead. Whether it's going to be Joe Anderson jumping over somebody, one of their playmakers making somebody miss. I mean, but look at this. I mean, minus 18 yards rushing.
And that's the strength of that team, running the football.
And I think, when they have been able to move the ball, once you get down in the red zone, their running game has just been completely stopped.
4 wide on 3rd and 23. They'll run it. Lacey doesn't get much. 4th down, and the punting unit will come on.
That's one of those plays where it reminds you of what a violent sport football can be.
William Parker laying the punishment on Kadarius Lacey. So A&M on to punt. Last punt only went 19 yards. Joe Anderson catches it, and he's taken down. 44-yard punt. Good coverage by Alabama A&M. And Texas Southern will start deep in its own zone. When we come back, Tigers down 3 here in the 4th. Just prior to kickoff. And a couple of big games on ESPNU. The All-State ACC Game of the Week, 3:30 Eastern. Undefeated Georgia Tech goes to Charlottesville. And then Clemson and Maryland. The Tigers also unbeaten. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPNU. ACC College Football on ESPNU this Saturday. Texas Southern with the ball. Down 3. They're trying to snap a 2-game losing streak. Martin Gilbert finds some space, and he gets across the 30-yard line. Finally tripped up by Rico Porch, 18 yards. And that's been the most that Gilbert has done here in this second half.
And it seems like they're trying to get back to basics. They had the success in the first half, pounding the ball up the middle. They said, hey, we've got to get one drive, we can get this lead. All they need is one good drive, they can get the lead. they're trying to get it on the ground.
Last 3 drives ended with a pick, a punt, and a blocked field goal, all, by the way, when Texas Southern was in Alabama A&M territory. Here's Gilbert again, running strong, and he gets to the 45-yard line. There is a flag, though.
A late flag as well.
Holding. Number 79, offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay, first down.
It's the left tackle, Ray Rodriguez. I told you about the star power in the backfield at the start of the game. Martin Gilbert and Marcus Wright, 2 of the best in the SWAC. Wright has been held in check. Just 19 yards on 10 carries. Gilbert did most of his damage early, 138 yards in the first half, just 10 since.
Became very difficult to run the football on these Bulldogs. And 8 penalties for Texas Southern on the night for over 100 yards. Not going to help your cause. And when you're a running team, you get a penalty on first down, becomes very difficult.
They go back to the ground, and it's Gilbert again. Looks like he's found a second wind here in the fourth quarter.
I mean, you can tell, looks like he's got the fresh legs. So they brought in Wright to let him run for a little while. Now he's got the fresh legs, and it seems like that offensive line has found a second burst of energy. Looking like the team we saw in the first quarter when the game first started, dominating that line of scrimmage.
They got 13 yards on 1st and 20, so it's 2nd and 7 now. And Gilbert that time looked like he caught his spike on the turf. And he's taken down for a loss of 1. So 3rd down and 8 for Texas Southern. Now we mentioned those last 3 drives, all in Alabama A&M territory. No points to show for it. Kind of like a man who can write beautifully but just can't punctuate. Marcus Wright now in at tailback. Big 3rd down. This is a game that Texas Southern needs. Smalls has time. Throws over the middle in traffic. And Davison hung on to it. Nice catch by the junior Donnie Davison, 34 yards and a big first down.
Yeah, giving his wide receiver an opportunity to make a play. Good job by Small, stepping up in the pocket. Delivers a good ball, and Davison's able to hold on to that one and make the grab for the huge 3rd down conversion.
Rico Smalls getting close to 300 yards passing. How much better does he look this week than he did 2 weeks ago when we saw him against Jackson State?
Looks more comfortable going through his progression, and it helps because he's got a running game tonight that he did not have versus Jackson State.
That's 4 yards for Marcus Wright, 2nd down, and for the 4th straight drive, here's Texas Southern inside the Alabama A&M 40-yard line.
And I think they realize the magnitude of what's at stake right now. 4th quarter, you're still down by 3, haven't been able to punch it in. You know you can't count on your field goal kicker. When they call that running play on first down, getting 4 yards is a good job for them.
Right again. And he's met right at the line of scrimmage by Preston Nelson, 3rd down.
See, that's that old Bronski Towns defense right there. You start having some success running the ball on first down. What does he do on 2nd down? Bring down Vernon Marshall into that box. Let him play that linebacker position instead of playing safety. Allow him to create havoc in the backfield. Stymie you at the line of scrimmage and limit you to no yards on the play. That's Marshall there. So he doesn't have the biggest frame at all. But you'll see when he breaks the huddle, he doesn't go backwards too often. He stays right there in that box close to the line of scrimmage. This is him up top here. He's one of those disruptive playmakers.
Here's Smalls on 3rd down. Chased. On the run. Just gets rid of it. 4th down.
You know, Niche, when you start playing football at an early age, they used to have this old term they used in the 70s and the 80s called a kitchen sink blitz, where they bring everybody but the kitchen sink at you. You just saw the good old-fashioned kitchen sink blitz. 8 guys on the line of scrimmage, 3 guys in coverage, ball snap, go get them. And they almost got to him.
That's the Bronski Towns trademark. Anthony Jones, the head coach. Towns, his longtime defensive coordinator. In fact, Towns was here well before Jones got to Huntsville. Fifth fourth down attempt of the game for Texas Southern. They're 1 for 4. Play clock down to 1. And they get the timeout off before the play. They did. And that is Texas Southern's final timeout of the half. So they are out of timeouts with 10:25 to play here in the fourth. Looking at SWAC news and notes, last week Jackson State's Rico Richardson, the offensive player of the week. Adrian Hamilton of Prairie View A&M, the defensive player of the week. And Prairie View and Alabama State, boy, that's a big one. This Saturday night, 10:30 Eastern. You can watch it on ESPNU. That could very well be a preview of the SWAC championship. Of course, if Alabama A&M holds on to win this game and Alabama State takes care of business at home, all of a sudden the stakes raised considerably for that Magic City Classic in a couple weeks.
Yeah, and you're at the point in the season where every game is important for Alabama State because they've risen up the ranks where they're now the #1 ranked team in black college football. So getting to a SWAC championship would be great, but if you can hold on that #1 ranking and get to the SWAC championship, then you're talking about possibly being named the black college national champion.
At Texas Southern, they're just 1-3 in the conference, but if they can find a way to win tonight, their schedule down the stretch pretty soft in terms of who they play in conference, and they might have a chance to sneak back into that SWAC West title picture. On fourth down, here's Smalls. He's under pressure, and he has nowhere to go. Sacked. The ball comes loose. Alabama A&M ball. William Fuller and Denzel Cotton both getting in there. Fuller forced the fumble. Cotton jumped on it.
Fuller and Cotton are linebackers, so you know they're bringing the pressure. There's the blitz. They got to him in a hurry. Nowhere for Smalls to go with the football. And one thing about a blitzing team, until you beat the blitz, they're going to keep on blitzing you time and time again.
And it seems, Jay, almost on every fourth down attempt for Texas Southern, Alabama A&M has brought pressure.
Oh, they're going to bring that pressure because Texas Southern's not shown the ability to beat the blitz. And the packages they're calling right now, it doesn't go to their advantage. If you've got a team that's blitzing, you want to get rid of the ball quickly and find a crossing route. They're relying on the vertical passing game, everything down the field. And there's not enough time for the quarterback to make a read.
It's still just a 3-point game. Alabama A&M starting in Texas Southern territory. Mason under pressure. Somehow gets it off, and it's dropped. Tyrell Jones couldn't quite bring Mason down, and he got the ball off, but it was dropped, so it'll be second down and 10.
Mason's a big, strong kid, 6'3", 210 pounds, does a good job of getting rid of this ball at the last second. What you like to see is right there, get rid of it right now, throw it in the stands. Couldn't do it, but still strong enough to stay on his feet and try and make something out of nothing.
Ball went right off the fullback, Brian Nelson, who scored a rushing touchdown in this game. On the ground to Lacey. And he gets maybe a yard, a flag in at the end of the play.
Hold on the offense, number 67. 10-yard penalty, replay, second.
Looking at Alabama A&M's remaining schedule, it's a doozy. Alabama State 5-0 in the SWAC. That's the Magic City Classic in a couple of weeks. At Alcorn State. And then Jackson State and Prairie View A&M. Those four teams, combined record of 13-6. You take Alcorn out of the equation, it's 12-2.
In conference play.
Yeah, conference play records.
That's a phenomenal, that's a tough stretch they've got. So winning tonight is just one of them. And that's why when we talked to Coach Jones, he said that we've got to look at every game as if it counts. We've got the 4-game winning streak. That's great. But we've got to keep winning over and over again if we want to get to where our ultimate goal is.
Second and 20. Lacey. And he picks up 5. It'll bring up third down and 15. Yeah, Alabama A&M this season, they beat Grambling on the road. They had never done that in school history. Coach Jones told us the turning point came a week after against Arkansas Pine Bluff, down 27-7 in the fourth quarter. Scored 3 touchdowns in that fourth quarter to win 28-27. And then a big win at home against Mississippi Valley State last Saturday. 4 wins in a row after opening the season with 2 losses, trying to make it 5 in a row. And if they can get Alabama State in that Magic City Classic, all of a sudden A&M might be the front runner to play for a SWAC title. A run here on 3rd down. Lacey is taken down by Adrian Bennett, the redshirt freshman, after a pickup of 5. So it'll be 4th down, and give this Texas Southern defense credit. They played very well in the second half.
They have. They've done a good job, and we see it happen time in, time out. You don't put a team away that doesn't have the ability to move the ball. One big play, then all of a sudden they take the lead. So if you're Alabama A&M, every time your offense doesn't move the ball, you've got to be holding your breath saying, well, can we keep relying on our defense to keep them out of the end zone?
And Texas Southern, they've been able to move the ball on Alabama A&M. They've gotten into Bulldog territory. Fair catch by Joe Anderson. Woo. Nearly dangerous, nearly lost it, but he hangs on. 31-yard punt, no return. Bulldogs still up by 3 with less than 8 to play in the fourth.
Hey, Stacy.
Odds of 4 of you being named Stacy, 1 in 6.
ESPNU College Football Primetime is presented by McDonald's. I'm loving it. Those are the baby Bulldogs. They get fandom started early here in Huntsville.
That's one thing they do in the SWAC. They grow them young. They start young. This is, one of those conferences where they really believe in keeping it in the family here. Just like you talk about at the major colleges, the state split between Alabama and Auburn.
Yeah.
Well, in the state of Alabama, kind of a 3-way split between Alabama A&M, Alabama State, and what's the other one, Anish?
Tuskegee, Division II Tuskegee. This is Martin Gilbert on 1st down, tripped up as he gets across the 20-yard line by Joshua Uday. Midnight Madness marks the beginning of the college basketball season. It's tomorrow, and ESPNU will be on 11 campuses around the nation, including North Carolina, Kentucky, Duke, Syracuse, UConn, and more, to deliver a preview of some of the top college programs with whip-around coverage. It all gets started at 9 Eastern tomorrow. That's Dexter Holtz. He's helping us out tonight, the Red Hat. When he's on the field, we're on a commercial break. He's Alabama A&M's assistant basketball coach. Another run here on 2nd down, and a gain of 4 yards by Marcus Wright that time. So 3rd down coming up. We've stressed throughout how important this game is for Texas Southern. With 3 losses, they probably still have an outside shot of winning their division and maybe getting back to the SWAC championship game. 4 losses probably put a fork in them in that regard. Smalls on 3rd down, goes to Joe Anderson. He's the go-to guy, and he makes a big catch for a 1st down. And Texas Southern moves the chains.
You talk about the importance of this game. Texas Southern, if you look at the rest of their schedule, they're Central State, Mississippi Valley State, Southern, Grambling State. So the upper echelon of teams within the SWAC conference, they've already gone through that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, you would say it's downhill from there, but they've got to win this game tonight, because 4 losses, quite frankly, won't get you to the SWAC championship game.
Smalls throws, and it's complete. That's Artie Collins. Gain of only a yard.
Have you noticed the change in the play selection? So now you've seen Texas Southern go away from the vertical passing game. Past 2 pass attempts they've had have been 3-step drop, get rid of the ball quickly. Hitch route, 5-yard out route. So right now they're saying, if you're going to continue to bring all that pressure and blitz us all the time, the very least we can do is protect our quarterback and go to our short passing game.
Less than 6 minutes to play. The defending SWAC champs down 3 on the road. Smalls throws, dangerous pass. It's broken up, incomplete, 3rd down. It was Uday again, who's had a terrific game for Alabama A&M.
And they tricked him there. They went to the zone coverage there, so he's been feeling pressure all night. All that is a defensive line rush. Ball hung in the air. And here's how you know this is zone coverage right here. You got him right there. Who's he guard? He's on there. He's responsible for that side of the field. You've got no pressure there. Step up in the pocket. He's just thinking man-to-man coverage because he's been getting hit all night. What you call getting happy feet.
On third down. Smalls this time has time. Being chased. Shakes one defender. And he's bumped out of bounds at the 30-yard line by Corey Hart. I think Hart took the worst of it, but it's going to be a loss on the play. And now a flag comes in. Big penalty here, depending on who it's on.
Personal foul on the defense, number 29. Also, personal foul on the offense. Those penalties offset. It was dead ball foul.
Taking another look at that last play. Listen to the hit at the end.
And on that play again, once again, A&M went back to the zone coverage there. Confused Smalls. Didn't know how to read the coverage. Tried to run for it. Nowhere to go.
Texas Southern has had issues in the punting game the last 2 weeks. Done tonight, though. Rashad DeJohnette can't hold on to it. And Texas Southern has the football inside the Alabama A&M 20. It's the second punt that Alabama A&M has muffed, and Texas Southern has recovered.
The ball was well kicked, and never a good idea to try and catch that ball as a returner over your shoulder. Run back and get set close to his body. Didn't have a chance at fielding that punt cleanly. Costly turnover.
Fumble recovered by Alexander Kelly. Going into the game, we talked about the worry on the punting end for Texas Southern, but it's been on the return end. That's 2 lost fumbles for Alabama A&M. The problem for Texas Southern has been 0 points in the red zone on their last 4 trips. Here's Gilbert. Has some room. Gilbert into the end zone, and Texas Southern has its first lead of the second half.
Martin Gilbert on the carry for Texas Southern. For the touchdown.
19-yard touchdown run, and Texas Southern finally capitalizes on an Alabama A&M turnover. The Bulldogs have turned it over 4 times. The first 3, no points for Texas Southern, but they capitalized this time. Point after by Ortiz is good, and Texas Southern with a 4-point lead with 4:41 to go. Jay talked about it. Texas Southern knocking. Finally, they burst through the door and take the lead. Martin Gilbert's second touchdown of the game has given Texas Southern a 4-point lead with 4:44 to play. And 2 plays really turned this game. It had been a silent second half. Neither team had scored. Alabama A&M muffling a punt. Texas Southern recovering on the very next play. Martin Gilbert from 19 yards out, and like that, the Tigers have a 21-17 lead. Gilbert 2 touchdowns in this game, and Texas Southern, I mean, they had been in Alabama A&M territory for what seemed like the entire second half. Hadn't been able to score. They didn't trust the field goal unit. 1 field goal attempt was blocked. Finally able to capitalize off of an A&M turnover, and 4 turnovers for the Bulldogs. This is the only one where Texas Southern has gotten points, but it hurts given the time that it took place. Montarius Smith tackled shy of the 30-yard line, and Alabama A&M on offense. 4:37 to go. They've got a 4-game win streak on the line. Does Anthony Jones' squad have it in them?
Let's go, let's go.
You knew it was just a matter of time. No matter.
561, Axe middle screen. Let's go.
Deontay Mason, former Kentucky transfer, trying to lead his team with 4:37. Alabama A&M has all 3 timeouts. Empty backfield. Mason under pressure, completes. This is DeJohnette. DeJohnette has some space. There he goes down the sideline. Rashad DeJohnette, 70 yards for the touchdown. There is a flag on the play. DeJohnette was the one who fumbled the punt away. If this stands, you want to talk about redemption. But it might come back.
Seemed like there was some wide receiver holding downfield.
Now the Alabama A&M players saying that the touchdown's going to stand. That's based on their reaction. Let's listen to Trennis Livingston.
We have unsportsmanlike on the bench. Official ran into a coach. The score is good, and the penalty would be processed on the kickoff.
That is huge.
I redeemed myself.
Well, you heard him say it, I redeemed myself.
You sure did, young man. Good job going inside, then using the speed to get to the outside. Became a foot race. Nobody could catch him.
And that's a true freshman, folks. Rashad DeJohnette from eclectic Alabama. Offensive coordinator Cedric Pearl called him a playmaker, a home run hitter. Boy, did he hit it out of the park. Not a big error, but more than made up for it. Point after is good, and Alabama A&M has its 3-point lead back. (24-21), Alabama A&M. Talk about 3 plays where it all changed. Rashad DeJohnette, 70-yard touchdown catch. Bulldogs on top. Momentum swinging like the pendulum here in the 4th quarter in a span of less than 40 seconds. You want to talk about game changers. Rashad DeJohnette fumbling away the punt. Texas Southern recovers. Very next play, Martin Gilbert, a 19-yard touchdown run, giving the Tigers the lead. Then after the kickoff, first play for Alabama A&M, it's DeJohnette. You heard him before he went to break. I redeemed myself. Yes, he did. The true freshman, 70 yards for the score.
I redeemed myself. I redeemed myself.
Yes, you did, young man. And it is 24-21. Alabama A&M with the lead. 4:07 to go. They'll kick off from their own 15 because there was a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty at the end of the touchdown assessed on the kickoff. So Texas Southern with a chance for good starting field position here.
Yeah, they can have a great position here, and you don't want to give a team that's struggling to kick field goals a shorter field to work on. So mental error there by the Alabama A&M coaching staff.
Deshaun Daniels from the 20. Daniels tackled shy of the 35-yard line. Alabama A&M, I think, would take that.
Good coverage there by the Bulldogs special team unit. Now this is, if you're Alabama A&M, you got to be feeling good, because normally you say you continue to bring the pressure, but the previous drives they had success playing zone coverage, which is normally the more conservative coverage of the two. So if you can play zone coverage and the team not have the ability to pick you apart, I think you go ahead and do that if you're Bronski Towns and Alabama A&M.
And remember, Texas Southern 2 for 6 in the red zone. When they've driven, it's been tough to finish drives because they don't have much faith in their kicking game. Here's Gilbert on first down, and he gets 2, maybe 3. It'll bring up second down, less than 4 minutes to play No timeouts left for Texas Southern.
And because they don't have those timeouts, you have to have a little sense of urgency if you're Texas Southern. You've got to go to a hurry-up style of offense because you've got to think, if I get stopped once, I don't want that to be the game. You call consecutive plays, build some momentum, and you can possibly get 2 drives out of this.
They used their last timeout with more than 10 minutes left in this 4th quarter. Smalls under pressure. He escapes Corey Hart. Still on his feet. Philip Harvey couldn't take him down. Loses his helmet, throws it up, and the play whistle dead as soon as that helmet came off. As soon as that helmet comes off.
The ball is dead when the runner's helmet comes off.
Saw that in the Northwestern game a few weeks ago with Dan Persa. Controversial moment. It was 4th down for the Wildcats. Clock is still rolling, so it's a dead play. It's a loss of 13 yards. Goes as a sack. 3rd down and long. They need to get to the 44-yard line. This Texas Southern. Smalls throws well short of the intended target. 4th down coming up. Now with 2:50 to go and no timeouts left, the clock is still running. It should be stopped.
You don't have any timeouts. I think they're thinking we got to go for it.
They don't think they'll get the ball back.
And if they get it back, there won't be enough time there. They can't stop the clock, so.
They've got the ball at the 24. They need to get to the 44. 4th and 20. Smalls throws over the middle. Intercepted. A&M's got it. It's Rico Porch, the senior. And he leapfrogs out of bounds, and that should seal it for Alabama A&M. It had been a quiet second half. Nobody scored in the 3rd quarter. Nobody scored until there were less than 5 minutes to play in the 4th quarter. A fumble on a punt by Rashad DeJeanette gave Texas Southern the ball inside the Alabama A&M 20. They punched it in on the very next play, and then DeJeanette made up for it with a 70-yard touchdown reception on the first play after Alabama A&M got a ball back. And then Rico Porch, the interception, ending Texas Southern's drive on 4th down.
Now, if you're Alabama A&M, you still got to try and run the ball a little bit. You want to go ahead and try and pick up this 1st down. Obviously, that would clinch it.
Right.
But the very worst case scenario,
Texas Southern can't stop the clock. So that's the predicament that they're in. But you know, Coach Jones has got to be thinking right now, let's get this 1st down so we can seal this. Don't want to try and go for a field goal if you don't have to, with the risk of that being blocked and returned back the other way. A&M looking for its 5th straight win, and if Alabama State takes care of business against Prairie View A&M Saturday, as again they move the pile going forward. If Alabama State can beat Prairie View A&M, you're looking at a matchup with the Magic City Classic that would basically put first place on the SWAC East on the line. And there is a flag on that last play.
After the play, personal foul on the defense. To the goal line, 1st and 10.
That's Marquise Jackson, frustration foul. And that pretty much does it for Texas Southern. 13-hour bus ride from Houston to Huntsville. It's going to be a long bus ride back.
And normally on the bus ride back, you don't stop. You just try and get it over with. You go as long as you can go. Get some sleep, get some breakfast, and it will definitely be longer going home with an extra L on your record.
Alabama A&M's defense, they forced 4 turnovers, totaled 412 yards of total offense against a Texas Southern team that came in #1 in the conference in total defense. Another flag.
5-yard penalties remain first down.
Delaying the inevitable at this point, but Alabama A&M 24-21 on their way here. We talked to Anthony Jones. He's been a part of a SWAC championship in 2006. 3 other times he's taken his team to the SWAC title game. We asked him if this team has the look of a team that can reach those sort of lofty expectations playing for a SWAC championship. He said they've had that look the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
It's a team that's getting better. It's a young team. What do you see from Alabama A&M going forward where the schedule gets exponentially harder?
Well, they're going to have to rely on each other, which is what you've got to do. But the fact is, when you've got a coach that you know is proven and can win a SWAC championship, that's something that's definitely going to help you out to your advantage. And they've got a defense that can really stop a lot of people. You know, anytime you got defense that can just flat out, you know, stop you from putting points on the board, defend the run, defense wins championships, and the SWAC conference is no different.
Some words exchanged as A&M takes the knee on the game's final play. Anthony Jones' squad with a lot of momentum going into that Magic City Classic. 5 wins in a row. They've got a bye week now. And remember, this is a Thursday game. Off this Saturday, off next Saturday. And the following Saturday, the last one in October, Alabama A&M and Alabama State with first place in the SWAC East on the line. If you're Anthony Jones, you got to like the position that you've put this team in. They only won 3 games a year ago. It's time now for the Lexus HBCU post-game report. Alabama A&M with a 24-21 victory over Texas Southern. Texas Southern scored the game's first 14 points, and then Alabama A&M 17 unanswered in that second quarter, and then that crazy 40-second frenzy we had in the fourth, where Texas Southern took the lead, capitalizing on a block punt, or I should say a muff punt and a fumble recovery, and then taking it in for a touchdown in the next play, and then 70 yards, Deontay Mason to Rashad DeJeanette, and Alabama A&M comes away with its 5th consecutive win. First time since 05 they've done that, Jay.
Yeah, and it was one of those games where it was a tale of 2 halves. In the first half, it seemed like nobody wanted to play defense. The offenses were just dominating. In the second half, good teams make adjustments. Both Texas Southern and Alabama A&M made the successful adjustments all the way up until, as you mentioned, the last 5 minutes of the football game where the big plays started to hurt people. But at the end of the day, when you're playing conference football, your neighbors kind of know you. They know what they like to do. The game plan against you turned out to be a very hard-fought contest tonight.
Texas Southern early in the game, they had the run game going. That was the bread and butter. We talked about it off the top. 156 rush yards in that first quarter. Both Marcus Wright and Martin Gilbert found the end zone. Gilbert 138 yards rushing in that first quarter, but quiet after that. Meanwhile, Alabama A&M down 14-0 going into the second quarter. They started to wake up, moving the ball offensively against a very good Texas Southern defense.
Yeah, and had the ability to go into halftime with the lead. And we thought they had all the momentum after trailing 14-0, going up 17-14. Momentum was there. Then defense took over.
And then this was the wild sequence. Rashad DeJeanette fumbling the punt. Very next play for Texas Southern. Martin Gilbert, 19-yard touchdown. Following the kickoff, first play for Alabama A&M. What did DeJeanette say?
I redeemed myself. I redeemed myself.
The true freshman, 70 yards to pay dirt. Let's hear it from him.
I redeemed myself. I redeemed myself.
And DeJeanette certainly did. That big 70-yard touchdown reception. Deontay Mason, 8 of 24. Not incredibly efficient, but the big play in the passing game was key for A&M all evening.
Yeah, in the first half, the vertical passing game was there. They were exposing the defensive secondary for Texas Southern, but he had a gutsy performance. He was getting hit all night long. He showed his toughness, stood tall in the pocket, and walked away with the victory.
So now Alabama A&M improves to 4-1 in the SWAC. They get Alabama State in their next game. They have, almost 2 weeks to prepare for that game.
Yep.
They got a lot of time to prepare for that game. When you look at this A&M team, do they have the look of a SWAC champion or a SWAC contender?
They've got the look. They can get it done, but they've got a brutal schedule on the back end. They've got to play well.
Once again, our final score, 24-21, Alabama A&M. Coming up next, we'll send you back to the studio for Sports Center U. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Jay Walker, I'm Anish Shroff saying good night from Huntsville, Alabama. The Bulldogs, your winner tonight.